Chapter 742. Your Majesty, it's here, Long Yu said as he pointed at a mountain in front of them. This is the Heavenly Pillar Mountain. The celestial peacock maiden followed beside Di Shitian and looked up at the towering mountain in front of them. She couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The mountain is sturdy and broken in half. The mountain path is steep and difficult to climb. It's a dangerous place, but it's indeed suitable for building a city. Di Shitian stood in front of the Azure Dragon Legion and looked up. His eyes lit up and he nodded. Looking ahead, an ancient mountain rose directly from the ground. The mountain exuded a majestic aura, like the spine of an ancient giant, towering into the clouds. It was obvious that it had the indomitable spirit to support the heavens. However, the mountain peak in front of him had been sliced in half by an unknown sharp blade halfway up the mountain. The mountain peak was split into two halves. One of the halves had already disappeared, but the remaining half rose from the ground, reaching a height of 3,000 feet. Moreover, the top part of the mountain was cut off, forming a huge flat platform. The top part was smooth and flat, like a huge continent. The majestic aura naturally brought an invisible pressure to the countless people who were looking up at the mountain peak. Around the mountain, dense forests rose and fell. They were surrounded and protected. This mountain is called the Heavenly Pillar Mountain. Di Shitian looked at the celestial peacock maiden after taking a closer look. He didn't know much about the land of exile. Yes. The celestial peacock maiden nodded. This mountain is called Heaven Pillar Mountain. Legend has it that it has existed since the beginning of the land of exile. It's a pillar that supports the heavens and earth. That's why it's called Heaven Pillar Mountain. It's incredibly sturdy, so sturdy that not even the most powerful figures in history could shatter it. As he spoke, he paused and said with a strange expression, "It is said that in ancient times, there was a peerless demon in the banished land." He directly cut the pillar of Heaven's mountain in half with his bare hands and pulled out half of the pillar of Heaven's mountain. With his supreme strength, he refined it into a peerless demon's sword, the executing Heaven sword. The sword split the void and broke through the void. His eyes looked at the void and gradually became blurry, as if he was thinking about the shocking sword that broke through the void. Using the mountain to forge the sword, breaking through the void. Di Shitian thought about it. With his eyesight, the Heavenly Pillar Mountain was definitely not ordinary. It had supreme strength, and even ancient giants couldn't destroy it. However, it was used to forge a sword. The executing Heaven sword that was forged from the mountain must be a peerless demon sword. However, the key wasn't in the sword, but the master who forged the sword. Executing Heaven sword? Tate. Could it be him? Right at this moment, Ming couldn't help but exclaim with surprise in her mind, and her eyes were filled with shock. He gasped. Which him? Di Shitian's sharp senses detected something unusual. In ancient times, there was a demon. He wielded the executing Heaven sword formation. Although he was only at the pinnacle of the ancient giant level, he fought against an old lunatic who was at the level of an unparalleled powerhouse. He defied the natural order of things and did not fear the unparalleled powerhouse. Instead, he used the heavenly sword formation to suppress the unparalleled powerhouse within the sword formation. He ferociously knocked the peerless expert back to the ancient giant. Ming's eyes were filled with fear. It was a heaven-defying technique to knock a peerless expert back to the ancient giant. It would be fine if they were both peerless experts. However, at that time, the demon was only a peerless expert. To be able to do such a thing, one could imagine how terrifying the demon's fighting power was. What happened to the peerless expert who was knocked down in the end? Di Shitian asked curiously. Even he couldn't help but be interested in this matter. TSK. Ming made two strange sounds. That guy was forced by the demon to merge his primordial spirit into the void. He wanted to use the power of the heavenly Tao to kill the demon. However, that guy was really crazy. He merged his primordial spirit into the void. He was simply courting death. When he merged with the heavenly Tao, countless great Taos surged into his divine soul. His entire divine soul was assimilated by the heavenly Tao. His mind was in a mess. A peerless expert went crazy on the spot. However, his strength increased a lot. He rose to the peak of the peerless expert. He had successfully blocked the pursuit of that demon god. TSK, what a pity that he became a lunatic. Merging one's primordial spirit into the void and merging with the heavenly Tao. Peerless experts could even break through the void. Once they merged with the heavenly Tao, they would be assimilated by the heavenly Tao. Their mind would be eroded by countless Tao thoughts, causing them to go completely crazy. Even if the power they obtained could instantly raise their cultivation to the peak of the peerless expert, they would not even have a mind of their own. They would never be able to peak into the indestructible ruler position. Once the heavenly Tao was broken, they would still die. It was said that at the peak of the peerless expert, they could even break the heavenly Tao and give birth to a new heavenly Tao. All external forces are illusory. Only when one's physical body is indestructible, his primordial spirit is immortal, and his physical body and primordial spirit are the true power. When Di Shitian heard the ancient secret narrated by Ming, he could not help but secretly understand the meaning behind it. Only what truly belonged to one's own was true power. Everything external was illusory. Merging with the heavenly Tao and becoming a lunatic. Di Shitian pondered. Kaihua, listen up. With the pillar of heaven's mountains as the foundation, start building the city immediately. Yes. With the order, the demons immediately rushed to the peak of the pillar of heaven's mountains. Stepping on the huge platform, Di Shitian opened his inner world and took the demons in. In the inner world, he used the primordial fire to forge the city bricks. Then, he took them to the peak of the pillar of heaven's mountains and started building the city quickly. All 300,000 members of the Azure Dragon Army started working. The speed of the construction was unusually fast. At a speed visible to the naked eye, an ancient city was built from the ground. This time, the city was not an unparalleled divine city like the Thousand Demon City. It was just an ancient city to shelter them. It could only hold a few million people. It was not too big. It was not difficult to build it. Under the bustling atmosphere, in just 3 days, an ancient city was built on the pillar of heaven's mountains. The name of the ancient city was Pillar of Heaven's City. On the day of its completion, the precious treasure pavilion that was originally in the Bayou tribe moved to the Pillar of Heaven's City. The construction of the Pillar of Heaven's City was not hidden from the eyes of those who were observant. When the construction was completed, all kinds of news immediately spread in all directions. Because of the relocation of the precious treasure pavilion, the Bayou tribe was in an uproar. Countless voices of discussion rang out continuously. Di Shitian is actually a demon emperor. He even built a Pillar of Heaven's City on the Pillar of Heaven's mountains. Even the precious treasure pavilion has moved there. What does he mean by doing this? He's a demon emperor. Is he afraid of conflict with Lord Shueisha? It shouldn't be. Lord Shueisha has never cared about the matters of the tribe. He spent all his time on cultivation. There shouldn't be any conflict between them. Now that the precious treasure pavilion has moved away, wouldn't it be very troublesome to exchange for pills, spirit wine, and divine weapons? Why don't we just go directly to the Pillar of Heaven's City? With Mr. Di's strength, it's not impossible to follow him. We are all demons. We must treat each other equally. We can't be discriminated against. Although many demons living in the tribe did not understand why Di Shitian wanted to build another city, they all had the intention of moving to the Pillar of Heaven's City. Modu. In the Demon Palace, the Dragon Demon Crown Prince, the 7 Fiends Demon Elder, and the Witch of Myriad Wonders sat in the main hall. Looking at the gloomy face of the Dragon Demon Crown Prince, it was obvious that he was in a bad mood. Di Shitian cannot stay. The 7 Fiends Demon Elder spat out a sentence coldly. Haha. The Witch of Myriad Wonders chuckled. Demon Elder is right. However, according to the Crown Prince, Di Shitian's battle strength is definitely above that of the ancient demon sages. He also cultivates a mysterious body refinement technique that gave birth to a strange divine ring filled with sorrow. Under the influence of sorrow, even the Crown Prince can't suppress it. I'm afraid that your battle strength will also be reduced by a few % in this foreign land. Under such circumstances, do you really have the confidence to kill him, Demon Elder? To deal with Di Shitian, we must first find a treasure that can suppress sorrow. The Dragon Demon Crown Prince took a deep breath. His body naturally emitted a formless majesty. He said, "Immediately order the entire Modu to pay close attention to resisting the outer demon and to find a treasure like that. I heard that the body heart can be obtained from the body wood in the Body Valley," the Witch of Myriad Wonders said flirtatiously. "The Sky Demon Valley's Sky Demon Stone can be refined into the Demon God Clan's treasure, the Sky Demon Steely. It can also resist the invasion of sorrow." The Seven Fiends Demon Elder said in a deep voice. "This Crown Prince will go into seclusion to cultivate the demonic sword of emotion severing. Once I succeed, I will be able to extinguish mere sorrow with a single thought." The Dragon Demon Crown Prince said coldly. This time, he had completely tripped in front of Di Shitian. With his temperament, how could he just let it go? This debt had to be settled no matter what. If he didn't grind Di Shitian's bones to dust, the hatred in his heart wouldn't be extinguished. All the demon gods in Modu began to search for treasures that could protect their souls. And in the Sky Pillar City, in the largest mansion, in a quiet room, Sakra was standing in the quiet room, unmoving. His black hair fluttered without wind. On the surface of his demonic body, a purple-golden undying divine ring appeared from his feet. Countless mysterious scenes faintly appeared in the divine ring, emitting waves of sorrow. In the void, strands of undying will constantly appeared and rushed into the divine ring. Accompanying them were strands of true dragon purple chi. Catcher. The undying divine ring began to revolve around his body from his feet, slowly rotating in a clockwise direction. With this rotation, his feet seemed to have been crushed by a large grinder. His flesh crumbled inch by inch, and even his bones were crushed into powder. It fused together with his flesh. At the same time, the undying will and true dragon purple chi in the undying divine ring rapidly surged into the crumbling flesh and bones, emitting a strange power. At the same time, his flesh and bones were rapidly regenerating at a speed visible to the naked eye. His flesh and bones grew out once again. The surface of the regenerated flesh was suffused with traces of sparkling light. The undying divine ring continued to slowly rotate upwards. Wherever it went, his flesh would immediately collapse and regenerate in a cycle. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 743. The immortal divine ring started from the bottom of his feet and moved upwards inch by inch. As it moved upwards, it crushed his flesh and bones like a giant grindstone, causing them to fuse together. Once this divine ring appeared above his head, it would crush and reassemble his skull. This was a complete body tempering of the Extreme Emperor indestructible body. As the body was crushed and reassembled, the immortal will and purple chi of the true dragon were refined into the flesh. Every time he cultivated, his physical body would become stronger. And the most exquisite part was that Di Shitian used the immortal divine ring as a giant grindstone. Then he used the boundless power of desire between heaven and earth and the purple chi of the true dragon as the driving force. He borrowed the power of heaven and earth to push the immortal divine ring and crush the body. This way, crushing the body was no longer a problem. However, the pain he had to endure during this process was also unimaginably huge. As the saying goes, the 10 fingers are linked to the heart. Any broken finger would cause a heart-wrenching pain, let alone his entire body. Even his bones were crushed. If it was someone with a slightly weaker willpower, that kind of pain would probably drive him crazy on the spot. Their consciousness would collapse and they would die. However, Di Shitian used the Extreme Emperor Tyrannical Heart Manual to protect his mind. He forcefully endured the boundless pain. This round of body tempering took a full 2 hours. Crazy Di, your Extreme Emperor indestructible body is definitely the only way to cultivate an immortal body. You actually crushed your flesh and bones at the same time during body tempering. This is the precursor to an immortal body. An immortal body requires the flesh, bones, and will to fuse into one. Once you reach the point where the flesh and bones are indistinguishable, you will have an immortal body. Ming had seen the true profundity of the extreme emperor indestructible body. With my progress, it will take about a year to cultivate the first level to perfection with the vast carnate yuan qi of the exiled land. Once I succeed, the immortal divine ring will be able to withstand an all-out attack from a powerhouse who has just entered the eternal realm. I estimate that with the mysteries of the ultimate emperor immortal body, once I reach the third level, I should be able to obtain an immortal body. Di Shitian calculated in his mind. The first level would take a year, the second level would take at least 3 years, and the third level would take about 9 years. At that time, the flesh, bones, and supreme wills would merge into one, achieving an undying body. This allowed the demon body to possess a tyrannical battle prowess that could contend against the ancient giants. However, this was only the power of an ancient tycoon. To truly become an ancient tycoon, one would need to complete the 10th volume of the Book of the Royal Extreme Shocking World and reach the 11th volume. The Black Lotus in his body transformed into an 11th grade Black Lotus. Only then would he be the most perfect giant of all time. A true ancient sky demon. Lunatic Di, now that you've brought the 300,000 Azure Dragon army to the Sky Pillar Mountain to build the Sky Pillar City, what do you plan to do? Although there are only 100,000 beasts in the 100 Mountains tribe, all of them are the elites of the beasts. As long as they have the slightest bit of luck, they will be able to reach the ancient beast saint realm. Do you want to give up on them? Ming asked in surprise. Of course I won't give up. Di Shitian said calmly, I've only been in the land of exile for a short time. To the 100 Mountains tribe, I'm a newcomer. As an outsider, if I want to silently take charge of the tribe, I'm afraid not many will follow me. Moreover, the beasts in the tribe are very unorganized. It's impossible to form an army in one step. The most important thing. It's still Shueisha. Although Shueisha has never cared about the affairs of the tribe, he has great prestige among the beasts. The key to subduing the 100 Mountains tribe is Shueisha. If Shueisha can submit, then the other beasts in the tribe will submit. It will be very easy and logical. Shueisha had protected the 100 Mountains tribe for countless years. It could be said that the reason why the 100,000 beasts in the tribe could survive was directly related to their powerful battle prowess. Although they did not manage the tribe, their influence was not small. He could foresee that if he had a conflict with Shueisha, the beasts in the 100 Mountains tribe would definitely stand on Shueisha's side without hesitation. A mountain could not have 2 tigers. A country could not have 2 monarchs. This was the reason why Di Shitian wanted to leave the 100 Mountains tribe. On the other hand, if he could subdue Shueisha, it would be equivalent to bringing the entire 100 Mountains tribe under his control. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed in the land of exile. In this half a year, the Azure Dragon army had started to refine their bodies due to the unique rules and restrictions of the land of exile. Sakura bestowed upon them the body refinement technique, 100 battles mysterious technique, as well as the corporeal body transformation divine arts. With the support of various pills and spirit wine, while cultivating their bodies, their cultivation did not delay at all. They constantly fought with various beasts. In the midst of life and death, their battle prowess and realm improved at an unbelievable speed. Di Shitian also used the blood essence of the beasts and used the wine god's gourd to refine large amounts of emerald blood amber wine for the beasts to cultivate. The progress was remarkable. Swoosh. However, on this day, in Sky Pillar City, the 10,000-foot-tall blood altar appeared again. It towered high and shot out a pillar of blood that extended to the endless void. Waves of soul-summoning sounds rang out again. Around the altar, there were piles of countless beasts' flesh and blood. In the myriad demon city, because a year in the land of exile was only a day in the outside world. At this moment, in the city, only half a day had passed since the Azure Dragon army was summoned. The blood altar in the city was once again enveloped by a pillar of blood that descended from the void. Within the pillar of blood, countless soul-summoning banners waved, and a strange soul-summoning sound that seemed to be transmitted directly to the souls of the beasts. Ancient heroic spirits, supervisor beast guards, souls, return. The melody's soul-summoning sound instantly covered the entire ancient city. The soul-summoning banners flew out from the blood altar and landed on the group of demon guards. His Majesty is summoning us. Bai Yu was dressed in silver-white battle armor. Behind him, 100,000 supervisor beast guards were lined up in an orderly formation. They all exuded a chilling aura. Every one of them was an elite of the myriad demon city. Next to him was the supervisor beast guard, led by Rat Big, and 200,000 Rat Clan members. They were the city's intelligence department. Baiyue's eyes revealed a look of anticipation. Soul-summoning banners appeared in the air above the supervisor beast guards. Like the Azure Dragon army, a strand of heroic spirit was drawn out of the 300,000 supervisor beast guards. They followed the path opened by the blood altar and escaped to the land of exile. In the blink of an eye, Bai Yu and the others in the city fell into a deep sleep. In the Jasper pool. Elder sister. The blood altar acted strangely again and summoned all the supervisor beast guards away. Dressed in a fiery red dress, Zhua quickly ran to a pavilion. Inside the pavilion, Chen Shi and Bai Hu were sitting together. They were smiling sweetly and seemed to be talking about something. It seems that Shi Tian is indeed borrowing the power of the blood altar to summon all the soldiers in the city. Chen Shi muttered, "Since we can use the blood altar to come and go, I think we should be able to find out Shi Tian's current situation after a while. Since they could go over, there must be a way to return. At that time, it wouldn't be difficult to find out the information. Shi Tian is in danger because of me." A trace of sadness and self-blame flashed across Bai Hu's face. During this period, even if she knew that Shi Tian's life wasn't in danger, she had always taken the responsibility for this matter on herself. If not for her, the carefree king wouldn't have been attracted. Sister Tian Xiong, this matter can't be blamed on you. Moreover, Shi Tian is not in danger now. There's no need to blame yourself. Chen Shi smiled indifferently and changed the tone of his voice, with a trace of seriousness. However, this carefree king must be guarded against. There was a trace of coldness in his voice. Humph. That carefree king is the most annoying. Zhua blinked and let out a cold snort. She shouted, "If he dares to chase us to the demon city, see if I don't use the ancient city to smash him to death." The carefree king had left a very bad impression in her eyes. If we suddenly seal the city, it will be difficult to escape the attention of others. It's fine for a short period of time, but after a long time, I'm afraid there will be people spying on our demon city. We must think of a way to escape the attention of the various worlds. Chen Shi said wisely, "I can feel that Shi Tian must be planning something big this time. No matter what, we must hold on for this period of time." There were definitely many people spying on the demon city. If not for the ruler's order hanging above their heads, there would probably be peerless experts secretly taking action. The sudden seal of the city would sooner or later cause many forces to be unable to hold back. There were many who wanted to destroy the demon clan. Moreover, there was the demon slaying order. Perhaps, the many experts of the Black Fiend could attack at any time. Qing Xia, what orders does your highness have? Immediately inform the two elders Huang Quan and military advisor Meng to prepare to drive the demon city away from the land of chaos and into the endless void. Think of a way to get rid of the spies in the dark. Yes. At this time, another few months had passed in the land of exile. The arrival of the supervisor demon guards strengthened Sky Pillar City once again. At the same time, General Shu's spies quickly spread the news. They secretly collected all kinds of information in the land of exile. At this moment, in the city lord's mansion, Sakura was sitting upright in the main hall. Below him, Big Rat, who had mist-like eyebrows and rat eyes, with a few strands of rat whiskers at the corner of his mouth, was standing respectfully. "Your Majesty, the matter that you asked this subordinate to inquire about has almost been collected." Shu Da raised his eyes and looked at Sakura with a fanatical gaze as he spoke. He respected Shi Tian from the bottom of his heart. Back when he was still in the southern barbarian lands, He had personally witnessed how his king fell in Di Shitian's hands. That scene left a deep impression in his heart. Ever since then, he didn't dare to show the slightest bit of disrespect towards Di Shitian. Back then, he was determined to follow him without hesitation. Reality proved that his choice was correct. Now, not only was he the deputy supervisor of the supervisor demon guards, he was also in charge of all the information. He was in a high position with great authority. With abundant resources, his cultivation base had also risen to the 7th refinement stage of the great ancient demon core. Speak. Di Shitian nodded. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 744. Yes, Your Majesty. Rat Boss replied respectfully and said, "You asked me to collect information about Shueisha. I spent a month and finally found some information." Without much hesitation, he opened his mouth and began to speak. From his words, it was clear that his investigation this time was related to the matter of Shueisha. I did not find out what Shueisha's original form is. However, according to the information I found in the Bayou tribe, he has been in the Banished Land for more than 100,000 years. When he entered the Banished Land, he was only an ancient demon king. In less than 10,000 years, he broke through to the ancient demon realm. I found out that Shueisha isn't alone. He has a wife called Lingji. This woman called Lingji was born from a 9-leaf Lingji. She has a very deep relationship with Shueisha. However, before Shueisha had become a heavenly demon, Lingji had suffered and fallen in a battle with Modu. Because of this, Shueisha went berserk and killed more than 3,000 demon gods in a year. He fought fiercely with a demon god in Modu called the star-plucking demon Venerable. He was severely injured. I guess that the death of his wife, Lingji, is related to the star-plucking demon Venerable. However, the star-plucking demon Venerable has been missing for the past 30,000 years. It is suspected that he has broken through the void and left the Banished Land. It is also possible that he is hiding in a secret place in the Banished Land. Shueisha used all his treasures to ask Treasure Boy to refine a 9-nether heavenly coffin. He used the heavenly coffin to carry Lingji's body and gather a trace of her soul. It seemed that he wanted to revive Lingji. However, his wish was never fulfilled. Rat Boss had an unimaginable talent in collecting information. In a short period of time, he found out a lot of information related to Shueisha. This was something that others would not be able to do easily. At this time, he didn't hide anything at all as he leisurely reported all the information that he had obtained to him. Di Shitian sat quietly in the hall, listening to Rat Boss's words. After a while, when Big Rat finished speaking, he nodded and said, "Good. You've done a good job. You can go now. Pay close attention to any movements in the Banished Land. Send your rat soldiers to dig a tunnel underground and directly explore Demonic City. Keep a close eye on Demonic City's movements. I want you to spread out your intelligence network as soon as possible. Yes, your subordinate will definitely do it properly." Rat Da's eyes lit up as he replied. The Rat Clan was the ancestor of digging holes. With the 200,000 Rat Clan elites he brought with him, they could dig countless tunnels underground in the shortest amount of time and spread their intelligence to every hidden corner. Setting up an intelligence network underground was something they were very familiar with. "All right, you can withdraw first." Di Shitian nodded his head to indicate. "Yes, your subordinate will take his leave." Rat Da respectfully turned around and left. After he went out, he immediately began to arrange the information excitedly. Di Shitian did not care about Rat Da's departure. His gaze was deep as he fell into deep thought. His mind was spinning rapidly. After a while, he could not help but murmur to himself, according to Rat Da, Shueisha is also a sentimental person. If that's the case, it won't be difficult for I to subdue Shueisha. No matter who it was, as long as they had feelings, there would be a flaw. With a flaw, there would be an opportunity to take advantage of it. As long as there was a request, it would not be difficult to achieve it. 3 days later, a jade invitation appeared in Shueisha's hand. Shueisha was wearing a red robe as he sat in the cave. The cave was very simple and there were no luxurious items. There were only some stone tables, stone chairs, and stone beds. It was extremely simple. In his hand was an invitation made of jade. He opened the invitation. There was only one sentence inside. Tomorrow afternoon, at the foot of the pillar of heaven's mountains. Di Shitian. Shueisha's eyes shot out a bright light as he said in a deep voice, "All right, I have long wanted to meet you personally. Since you want to invite me, then I will go. Let's see what kind of tricks you have. I, Shueisha, am not someone that anyone can subdue." Even if he did not care about the affairs of the tribe, as long as he wanted to know, there were not many things that could be hidden from him. He had long known that there were people in the tribe who were inquiring about him. But after thinking about it, how could he not know that it must be the orders of the demon emperor Di Shitian who suddenly appeared? No one was a fool. He clearly saw through Di Shitian's intentions. Although he did not want to care about the affairs of the tribe, he would not easily hand over the fate of the tribe to an unfamiliar demon emperor. He thought to himself, "Fine, let me see what kind of skills you, the demon emperor, have. If you are a good-for-nothing, how can I hand over the fate of the entire tribe to you? However, since he knows about the blood altar, I wonder if he can help the Lingji." Thinking to himself, he turned around and walked into the depths of the cave. Inside, there was a quiet room. In the quiet room, there was a black coffin. On the black coffin, there were countless mysterious patterns that intertwined with each other, emitting a strange charm. On top of it, there were 9 black phoenixes. The head of each phoenix was facing the inside of the coffin. They were constantly spurting out strange power. It poured into the entire black coffin. Looking into the coffin, there was a delicate and pretty woman dressed in a green palace robe lying quietly inside. Her face was slightly pale. There was no trace of vitality on her body. On the surface, there was a layer of ice crystals. She was frozen in the coffin. There was only a trace of black energy hovering around her chest. If anyone stretched their hand into the coffin, they would be frozen into a popsicle in an instant. Shueisha walked to the front of the black coffin. He looked at the woman in the coffin. His eyes were unusually gentle as he murmured, "Lingji, don't worry. No matter how great of a price I have to pay, I will definitely find a way to save you. If there's no way to bring your soul back to life in the land of exile, then I will tear open the void and return to the origin world. With the vastness of the origin world and the countless experts, there will definitely be someone who can save you. You must wait for me." There was an unshakable determination in his words. On a small hill not far from the pillar of heaven's mountains, the assassin emperor, who was wearing a cloak, stood side by side with Shueisha, who was filled with killing intent. At the same time, they raised their heads and looked at the pillar of heaven's mountains. The ancient city built on top of the mountain could be seen clearly. "Brother Shura, since we have already decided, there is no need to hesitate. Let's go. Let's go to the pillar of heaven's city to meet the demon emperor," the assassin emperor said with a hoarse voice. However, there was also a trace of anticipation in his voice. As long as Di Shitian has the source seed of life and the source seed of the world, why can't I submit to him? Shueisha's face was filled with determination. He had a strong yearning for the 2 source seeds. What did the 2 source seeds mean? It meant that he could have his own inner world. Once he had his own inner world, he might even be able to break open the void in the future. "I can wait for 100 years. Shueisha's eyes were filled with determination. Without any hesitation, he took large strides forward. He headed straight for the pillar of heaven's city. The assassin emperor's eyes revealed a complicated expression. Looking at Shueisha's figure, he thought, "Fine. Since the clan has expelled me, I am no longer a member of the Shadow Clan. Since that is the case, even if I accept Di Shitian as my master, why can't I submit to him? Sooner or later, I will step onto the peak and return to the Shadow Clan to take back everything that belongs to me." With a wave of his hand, he followed the assassin emperor. Half a day later, an order was issued in the pillar of heaven's city. The 1,000-demon city had a new guard, the Shadow Guard, specialized in assassination. Commander of the Shadow Guard, the Assassin Emperor, set up the military governor, specialized in training the demon army's combat, discipline, and battle formation. Trained the new recruits, selected the elites, and added them to the various legions. Commander of the military governor, Shura Shah. All of this was silently observed by the celestial peacock maiden. The Assassin Emperor is said to have gathered 1,000 members of the Shadow Clan under him. Each of them is an expert assassin. He established the Hall of Bloodslaughter and is also a figure that Modu is very wary of. There is also Shura Shah. Although he is a lone wolf, his combat strength and the heaven-slashing saber skill that he cultivates make even me wary of him. They are all outstanding powerhouses in the entire exiled land. They actually submitted to Mr. Di. The celestial peacock maiden was secretly suspicious. During this period of time, she had been following Di Shetien and was very clear about his whereabouts. She had no time to interact with these two. Unless, it was that time in the 100 Mountains tribe. Just that one meeting was enough to make them submit willingly. She could not understand the mystery behind it no matter how hard she thought about it. He also did not know what method he had used to make these two powerhouses willingly submit to him. In her heart, she felt more and more curious about Di Shetien. For some reason, in her heart, Di Shetien's figure seemed to be shrouded in a layer of mysterious fog. 3 days later, at the foot of Tianzhu Mountain, there was a pavilion erected on the flat ground. There was a table and 2 stone benches in the pavilion. Di Shetien was wearing a black robe. He looked calm, and his body naturally exuded a kind of majesty as he sat on the east side. There was a jade plate on the table. The jade plate was dozens of feet in size. On the plate was a lifelike true dragon. The true dragon was emitting hot steam and a strong exotic fragrance. Just by smelling it, one could not help but have the urge to eat. Beside it, there was a wine pot and 2 jade cup. The pot was filled with 3,000-year-old monkey wine. The color of the wine had turned amber. The exotic fragrance of the wine wafted freely in the pavilion. There was no one around. A gentle breeze blew, bringing with it a hint of spring. It was a little quiet. Suddenly, Di Shetien looked up at the mountain forest in the north. He saw a middle-aged man in a red robe walking out with steady steps. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 745. Shuesha. Di Shetien. Seeing the middle-aged man in a red robe, who looked like a bridegroom, Di Shetien immediately stood up and said in a deep voice. Facing him head-on, he began to carefully size up Shuesha opposite him. He wore a large red robe, and the aura he emitted was filled with a dense murderous aura. When the breeze blew, it was as if waves of blood were rolling. The gaze emitted from his eyes was abnormally sharp. If one were to be looked at by him, they would feel as if they were about to be pierced through. It made one's skin hurt. If one's temperament was slightly worse, one wouldn't even be able to raise one's head in front of him. If one's heart trembled, one wouldn't even be able to use 30% of one's battle strength. He couldn't help but secretly praise in his heart, what a peerless warrior. With just a glance, Sakura could tell that Shuesha in front of him was absolutely not an ambitious and ruthless person. Because, in his heart, he simply didn't have the kind of domineering aura that could dominate the world and control the universe. Instead, he had a murderous intent and battle intent to slaughter the world. This kind of temperament was only suitable to be a peerless warrior, not an ambitious and ruthless person. Please sit down. Di Shetien stretched out his hand to Shuesha, beckoning him to sit down opposite him. Shuesha took the opportunity to sit down. He had a slight impression of Di Shetien in his heart. He was majestic without being angry. His face was calm, and there seemed to be 2 deep whirlpools in his eyes. There were endless secrets hidden in them. However, he couldn't see any mystery. He couldn't help but have an impression in his heart, unfathomable. This wine is a 3,000-year-old monkey wine. The wine's fragrance is pure. You can't drink it in other places. Brother Shueisha, why don't you taste it? In the land of exile, although the cooking technique of this true dragon soup is not the best, this true dragon soup is probably the only one here. Please. Di Shitian smiled indifferently and said leisurely, indicating for Shueisha to taste it. Shueisha didn't hesitate, picking up the ivory chopsticks in front of him and reaching towards the true dragon soup, picking up a piece of tender true dragon meat. Smelling the strange fragrance, he couldn't help but feel his appetite stir. He raised the wine cup with his left hand and looked at the spirit wine that was like amber. While he was inwardly astonished by Di Shitian's generosity, he did not hold back at all, directly swallowing a mouthful of dragon meat and a cup of spirit wine. After drinking the spirit wine, Shueisha slowly closed his eyes. Regarding Shueisha's situation, Di Shitian just smiled indifferently. He picked up a cup of spirit wine and slowly tasted it. As he tasted, his eyes unobtrusively fell on Shueisha's face. Strangely enough, after this piece of dragon meat and a cup of wine, Shueisha seemed to fall into a mysterious state. He closed his eyes, and slowly, his face began to change. It was as if he was deep in a dream. The expression on his face was sometimes surprise, sometimes intoxicated, sometimes affectionate, sometimes reluctant. Almost all the flavors of life could be seen on his face. Sakura only nodded and smiled as if he had gotten something. He waited quietly. In the blink of an eye, a quarter of an hour gradually passed by quietly. Whoosh! Shueisha slowly opened his eyes. In his eyes, there was still a touch of deep reluctance. Without hesitation, he reached out to the true dragon soup, picked up a large piece of dragon meat with his chopsticks, and put it into his mouth. He didn't even chew and directly swallowed it into his stomach. Then, he closed his eyes, as if he wanted to immerse himself in the previous dream again. But in the blink of an eye, he opened his eyes again. With a sharp gaze, he looked at Di Shitian and asked, "What kind of dragon meat is this?" The reincarnation Holy Spirit tree hangs the true fruit, a dream, a reincarnation. It seems that Brother Shueisha has just realized something. Di Shitian smiled indifferently and raised his cup slightly to Shueisha. Reincarnation Holy Spirit tree? No wonder. The moment Shueisha heard this, his eyes involuntarily widened, and his face showed a look of realization. He had obviously heard of the reincarnation Holy Spirit tree before. Di Shitian put down the cup and looked at Shueisha. His face showed a serious expression, and his eyes flashed. "I have tasted the wine and tasted the delicacies. Speaking of which, I have also lived in the 100 Mountains tribe. Unfortunately, I did not have the fortune to meet Brother Shueisha at that time. But Brother Shueisha's name is like thunder in my ears. Brother Shueisha is able to support a living space for the demon race in this land of exile. This achievement is really admirable. This cup is to you." He refilled the cup and raised it to him, and drank it in one gulp. Shueisha also drank. "I am a member of the demon race. No matter how high my cultivation is, this will never change. Within the scope of my ability, I can only protect one side." Shueisha's eyes became extremely sharp, and fell directly on Di Shitian's face. He naturally revealed a kind of aura, and said in a deep voice, "I am very clear that I am not a good leader, and I do not have the aura of a hero. However, even if you call yourself the Demon Emperor, if you do not have the ability, don't expect me to hand over the lives of the 100 Mountains tribe to you." In his words, he had pointed out Di Shitian's real purpose in this meeting at the Pillar of Heaven's Mountains. He also did not hide the fact that if he did not have the ability, then don't have any ideas about the 100 Mountains tribe. On the contrary, his words also implied that if Yi Shiwen's ability could gain his recognition, then it was not impossible to hand over the 100 Mountains tribe to him. He did not have that kind of desire for power. Sakura did not panic in the slightest because of this. He seemed to have turned a blind eye to the fierce aura that was coming towards him. He did care about the Bayou tribe, but what he valued more was Shueisha himself. He raised his cup with an unfathomable expression, and did not say anything about the 100 Mountains tribe. Instead, he directly changed the topic, and said casually, I heard that Brother Shueisha has a wife called Lingji. That's right. Although Shueisha was a little surprised that Di Shitian did not discuss the matters of the tribe with him as he expected, and instead asked about his family. He slightly frowned, but there was a trace of reminiscence between his eyebrows. I heard that Lingji was heavily injured in a fierce battle with Mo Du, and finally fell. Because of this, Brother Shueisha almost went crazy. Di Shitian spat out another sentence. That's right. Shueisha could not understand Di Shitian's intentions. He could not help but feel a little unhappy when he suddenly mentioned Lingji. Mentioning Lingji was tantamount to tearing open his scars. I heard that Brother Shueisha has been looking for a way to create the 9 underworld heavenly coffin that can gather yin and condense souls for your wife, so that Lingji can once again be reborn. Di Shitian said calmly, as if he did not see Shueisha's increasingly gloomy face. What exactly do you want to say? Shueisha took a deep breath, and his eyes shot out 2 rays of light as he said in a deep voice. Although he was a little angry in his heart, he did not lose his composure. With Di Shitian's identity, it was impossible for him to come here just to tear open his scars. There must be a deeper meaning in his words. In comparison, Brother Shueisha has already searched for all kinds of methods in the land of exile, but he still can't really bring Lingji back. However, others may not have a way, but that does not mean that I don't. Di Shitian seemed to spit out a sentence casually. What? The light in Shueisha's eyes shot out several jong away, and his whole body suddenly stood up from the chair. His eyes stared at Di Shitian's face, and he said excitedly, "You have a way to save Lingji?" Although he tried to suppress it, he still could not hide the mixed tremor in his voice. "I have the blood altar, which can summon souls back." Di Shitian saw that Shueisha was so excited, and he was more than 90% sure in his heart. As long as there was a flaw, it would not be a seamless egg. "I have the spirit wine, soul-returning wine, which can bring remnant souls back to life. I have the soul-nourishing wine, which can nourish and heal remnant souls. I know the refining method of the soul-summoning banner." Once the soul-summoning banner is refined, it can use the soul-summoning secret technique to gather remnant souls scattered between heaven and earth. Di Shitian's words were like a giant hammer, directly pounding on Shueisha's heart. At the same time, a light flashed in his hand, and a jade wine god's treasure mirror appeared in his hand, and he threw it to Shueisha without hesitation. Shueisha caught it and quickly opened it. Immediately, among the 108 wine recipes in the wine god's treasure mirror, he saw the several spirit wines that Di Shitian had mentioned. Moreover, the soul-returning wine was a heaven-rank mid-grade spirit wine. Once it was brewed, it could be called a treasure. The description of the spirit wine in the book was exactly the same as what he had said before. It was not an exaggeration, and it really had the magical power to return souls. Bang! Shueisha closed the treasure mirror heavily, took a deep breath, and looked at Di Shitian without hesitation, and said seriously, "As long as you can save Lingji, I can promise you anything. Even if you want me to die, I, Shueisha, will not frown. Save Lingji, and my life, Shueisha, is yours." He could even give up his own life. It could be seen that his love for Lingji was deep, and it had reached a level that ordinary people could not imagine. This was a love that could sacrifice one's life for the other. Under the exterior of killing, there was also a burning heart that ordinary people could not compare to. "Follow me, and together we will create a prosperous era for the monster race." Di Shitian stood up, stretched out his right hand, and raised it in front of him. Bang! Shueisha waved his hand and slapped Di Shitian heavily. "Good. However, I want to see Lingji come back to life first. If you can fulfill your promise, then we, husband and wife, will be loyal to you. We will help you create a prosperous era for the monster race." Shueisha said seriously. Every word, every sentence, carried a strange kind of firmness. After saying that, he turned and left. Seeing Shueisha disappear, Di Shitian stood in the pavilion and looked up at the void, his face full of confidence, and suddenly said, "Rat boss. Catcher." As his voice fell, a hole suddenly appeared in the ground outside the pavilion. Rat boss quickly rushed out from the ground and respectfully stood outside. He replied, "This subordinate is here." Immediately start searching the entire banished land for the resurrection grass, and find the location of the resurrection grass in the shortest time possible. Even if you can't find it, report it immediately. Damn, there's a problem with the network today, and I can't log in to Chidyen. No choice, I can only go to the internet cafe. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidyen.com, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 746. The land of exile was rich in resources and minerals. There were treasures everywhere, and all kinds of materials could be seen everywhere. If it wasn't for the terrifying rules of the land of exile that prevented the cultivators from using their dharmic powers, no matter how precious the materials were, they wouldn't be able to be refined into dharma treasures or divine weapons. Therefore, only a small portion of the treasures could be used. This place was filled with Xiantian Yuan Qi and nurtured all kinds of heaven and earth spirit quenching, more than any other place. It was comparable to the origin heaven and earth of ancient times. Many spirit quenching that were almost extinct in the origin heaven and earth could be found here. Just in the vicinity of the Pillar of Heaven's mountains alone, the demons had plundered a huge amount of treasures, all kinds of precious materials, and large amounts of spirit quenching. Putting aside the rules of the banished land, this place was definitely a rare treasure trove. Yes, Your Majesty. This subordinate will do it immediately. Big Rat replied excitedly. In his heart, the more the Demon King ordered him to do things, the more important he was to him. He wanted to make contributions and raise his position in His Majesty's heart. Now, all the monsters in the 1,000 Demon City had returned to their home. It could be said that there were many geniuses there, which made him feel a strong sense of oppression and danger. He roared in his heart, I, Big Rat, am definitely the best candidate for the position of Deputy Demon Envoy of the Demon Guard. No one can replace me. Time flew by, and 3 months quietly passed in the banished land. The appearance of Heavenly Pillar City. Gradually, this news began to spread throughout the exiled land. It brought about a huge impact. For example, there was a treasure pavilion in the city that sold spirit wine, spirit pills, divine weapons, and so on. Even longevity pills were on sale, and there was almost no limit to how many could be sold. On the spot, a huge amount of longevity pills appeared, which immediately attracted the experts of various races in the banished land. Every day, large numbers of experts from various races began to enter and leave Heavenly Pillar City. What was even more shocking was that another Jubao court was set up in the city, and the pavilion began to collect any materials in the banished land without limit. Inside, materials, spirit quenching, and all useful items could be exchanged for demon coins, which could be used to buy anything in the city. Only demon coins could be used for transactions in the city. Without demon coins, he wouldn't be able to purchase spiritual wine, divine weapons, or longevity pills. I have what others don't have, and I have what others have. Although there was some conflict, under the strong rules, all the experts who wanted to buy items had to exchange for demon coins in the Jubao court. Demon coins began to circulate in the city. At the same time, the number of demons in Sky Pillar City increased rapidly. The Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and White Tiger legions were summoned by the Blood Altar and descended upon the land of exile. At the same time, a large number of artificers, alchemists, and winemakers were summoned. In Di Shitian's inner world, there was an endless stream of elixirs, divine weapons, and spiritual wine. He even found some body-tempering pill recipes to refine body-tempering pills. For example, Vaja pills and bone-forging pills could not be sold in the land of exile. Furthermore, he acquired the pill formula for the longevity pill, and began to concoct large batches of them. The main ingredient for the longevity pill was the beast core of a fierce beast, which was a homonym for longevity pills. After the arrival of the 4 legions, they began to fight with countless fierce beasts. The beast cores of the beasts they killed were all used to refine longevity pills. Every day, no less than 100,000 beast cores were sent into the city. The longevity pills were lifespans. This large-scale sale immediately attracted a large number of experts to Sky Pillar City, and even a large number of cultivators from the City of Exile came. Vaguely, Sky Pillar City was on the verge of contending with the City of Exile. The city's momentum suddenly grew. Immediately, in the Land of Exile, many people began to secretly investigate Di Shitian's roots. The Land of Exile was very large. Although it was not as vast as the Purple Gold continent, it was still boundless, stretching for hundreds of millions of miles. At this moment, in a dense mountain forest 10,000 miles east of the Sky Pillar Mountain. Bang bang bang! A series of violent sounds of fighting resounded. In an open space in the forest, a slender figure was seen. Its entire spine was like a sinister long sword, and there were 81 sharp bone swords protruding from its body like a porcupine. Its tail was incomparably long, and it was as long as a sword dragon's. A ferocious light flashed in its huge eyes. Even its eyes were blood red. It looked extremely terrifying. Its 2 hind legs were on the ground, but its 2 forelimbs were waving its cyan dragon claws, drawing terrifying claw marks in front of its body. When its claws slammed into the ground rumbled violently, and a huge crack split open. Its combat strength was comparable to an ancient demon sage. Its entire body exuded a dangerous aura. Kill. In front of this sword dragon, Sakura held the tiger soul in his hand as he took a step forward. His blade slashed out along the strange trajectory of heaven and earth, colliding with that pair of sharp claws of the sword dragon. That pair of claws wasn't just tough, even the tiger soul couldn't split them apart. During the collision, sparks flew. Roar. When the sword dragon saw that it could not tear Di Shitian apart, it immediately let out an angry dragon roar. Its entire back arched like a bridge, and the sinister bone swords on its back glowed with a strange green light. All the pores on its body suddenly contracted. A strong and dangerous aura completely erupted. Clang clang clang. The 81 bone swords on its body were like hedgehogs, and they bombarded Di Shitian with lightning speed. The sharp bone swords emitted a threatening cold light. As fast as lightning, they appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye. Ultimate Emperor Immortal Body. The 81 bone swords almost instantly covered all the dodging directions, and were incomparably fierce, wanting to cut him into pieces. However, even so, Di Shitian's face was incomparably calm, and there was not the slightest change. He only shouted in his heart, and activated the Ultimate Emperor Immortal Body. Suddenly, a purple gold undying divine ring was born from his body. That divine ring, compared to when he was on the battlefield, was denser, as if it was real. Within the divine ring, there were faint sounds of sorrow echoing, and countless sorrowful faces clearly appeared. The purplish gold color further accentuated a supreme air of nobility. Bang bang bang! The undying divine ring collided with the bone swords that filled the sky. The power contained in the bone swords was enough to cut a demon saint, but when they landed on the divine ring, the purple gold divine light on the divine ring blazed, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Sparks flew. At the same time, a vast and mighty force erupted and blasted the bone swords, and the bone swords were sent flying. Boom boom boom! The sword dragon was indeed a ferocious beast comparable to a demon saint. In an instant, its tail, which was like a terrifying battle sword, suddenly lashed out. This whip, after an intense tearing sound, was heard in the air, and it was as if an ancient ferocious sword was slashing towards him. Now, even if there was a mountain in front of him, it would be smashed to pieces. The whip landed on the undying divine ring. The divine ring shook violently, and even the divine light on the divine ring seemed to dim. Kill. Di Shitian did not retreat, but advanced. He held Tiger Soul horizontally, and the tip of the saber pointed forward. At the same time, he held the saber hilt with both hands, and the tip of the saber was pointed straight at the sword dragon's throat. As he took a step forward, the blade emitted a dazzling light. Poochie. All the strength in his body was concentrated in Tiger Soul. Taking advantage of the sword dragon's whipping tail and flipping its lower abdomen, he stabbed it into the sword dragon's body. Slash. Tiger Soul stabbed into the sword dragon's body, but he did not relax. With a twist of his wrist, he changed from a stab to a slash, and the saber slashed downwards. With a crack, golden saber light flashed, and the sword dragon's abdomen was sliced open. He used the 8 desolation step. Each step was as if he was stepping on mountains and rivers. He soared into the air and stepped directly on the sword dragon's head. Bang! A domineering mighty force poured down, and the huge head exploded on the spot. The sword dragon did not even have time to let out a whimper, and its body, which was hundreds of feet long, fell to the ground with a loud bang. He swung his saber down, and took out the beast core from the sword dragon's body. He also grabbed the 81 bone swords in his hand, and with a wave of his hand, the sword dragon was stored in his inner world. Every part of a ferocious beast was a treasure. The beast core could be used to refine the longevity pill. With the sword dragon's combat strength, just the beast core alone contained an enormous amount of vitality. It was enough to refine no less than 100,000 longevity pills. The 81 bone swords, after some slight refinement, would become an excellent set of battle swords. When they formed a sword formation, they would be extraordinarily powerful. The bones could be used to refine bone weapons. The blood essence could be used to brew the emerald blood amber wine, and the flesh could be absorbed by the blood altar to summon the demons in the myriad demon city. Every part of the body was a treasure. After quickly tidying up everything and scanning the surroundings, Di Shitian muttered to himself, according to the information Big Rat found, in the Banished Lands, only people in the Ghost Valley have seen the resurrection grass. However, that was 30,000 years ago. I don't know if it still exists now. Crazy Di, you don't need to be too suspicious about this. I know very well about the resurrection grass. It can only be nurtured in places with dense souls, and it grows by absorbing the power of remnant souls. In the Banished Lands, it can only be nurtured in places like the Ghost Valley. Moreover, according to my guess, after countless years, the Ghost Valley must have nurtured more than one stalk of resurrection grass. Ming said without any worry. He knew much more about these things than Di Shitian. It turned out that after Big Rat received Di Shitian's order, he immediately began to mobilize all the forces in his hands and used all kinds of methods to investigate. After several months, he finally received a piece of news that someone had seen the resurrection grass in the Ghost Valley. The Ghost Valley could be said to be an extremely strange and ominous place in the Banished Lands. The souls inside were all the most ferocious malicious ghosts. The number of malicious ghosts had reached a terrifying level. It was said that the Ghost Valley originally did not exist in the Banished Lands. It was unknown when, but a fragment of the map had fallen from the sky and fused with the land of exile, turning into a strange valley. Countless malicious spirits gathered in the valley, and the malicious spirits were born with the terrifying ability to travel through the void and forcibly possess others. The strangest thing was that those malicious ghosts were difficult to kill. To be continued. If you want to know the rest, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 747. The ferocious ghosts inside were almost impossible to kill. Even if they were smashed, they would instantly reform and recover to their original state. Moreover, they would become even more ferocious. They were extremely hostile to any outsider. Once they were discovered, they would immediately summon all the ferocious ghosts nearby to attack. They were simply afraid of death. However, there was one thing that was very strange. There seemed to be a strange power in the Ghost Valley that could isolate part of the rules in the land of exile. In the valley, the restriction of the land of exile on magic power and divine powers would be inexplicably weakened. Once inside, magic power and divine powers would be able to be used. It was as if the Ghost Valley itself was independent of the land of exile. It was like the inner world of a cultivator. However, the Ghost Valley was indeed connected to the land of exile. It had already merged with the land of exile and become a part of it. It was as if it had forcefully merged with some kind of treasure that did not belong to the land of exile and gave birth to a strange existence. Magic power and divine powers could be used in the Ghost Valley. It was different from other places. Therefore, it was also known as the Secret Realm. It was one of the 3 secret realms in the land of exile, the Ghost Valley Secret Realm. There were also two secret realms, namely the Sky Demon Secret Realm and the Ferocious Beast Secret Realm. According to the rumors, this Ghost Valley Secret Realm was formed by a remnant map that fell from the sky into the Banished Land and merged with the entire world. If that is the case, then that remnant map may be a rare treasure. It may be an innate spiritual treasure that evolved from an innate spiritual embryo. Otherwise, it would not be able to resist the supreme rules of the Land of Exile after merging with the Land of Exile. Ming said thoughtfully, "There are countless ferocious ghosts in the Ghost Valley Secret Realm. If these ferocious ghosts can be absorbed and sent to the Divine Spirit Altar, more divine spirits will be born. Now, there are less than 100 ferocious ghosts left in the altar. These 100 ferocious ghosts have the potential to become divine spirits of lust. We must capture more ferocious ghosts to help them become divine spirits." Di Shitian pondered and said. After listening to Big Rat's explanation that the Ghost Valley Secret Realm contained endless ferocious ghosts and could automatically absorb a large number of ghosts from the void, he immediately decided to personally go to the Ghost Valley Secret Realm. Firstly, he could use the large number of ferocious beasts along the way to train himself and stabilize his breakthrough, sharpening one's combat skills and tempering one's combat strength at the edge of life and death. Secondly, he wanted to see if he could absorb a large number of souls from the Ghost Valley. The amount of souls needed to nurture a Holy Spirit was simply too large. Go. Di Shitian focused his mind and sent all the valuable items into his inner world. He then continued to walk in the direction of the Ghost Valley Secret Realm. In a dense forest, ancient trees towered into the sky, and mountain ranges stretched out endlessly. In the depths, a strange place appeared. There were two towering mountain peaks that pierced through the clouds. At first glance, it was as if one was looking up at a terrifying giant. Wisps of gloomy black fog shrouded the two tall mountain peaks. It was faintly discernible and emitted a gloomy and cold aura. In the middle of the two mountain peaks, a natural path was formed. It could be passed through the middle. After passing through, there was a valley shrouded in a faint black fog. It seemed that these two mountain peaks were like the gates of hell. Patter. In front of the gloomy and strange valley, in the quiet forest, a steady sound of footsteps could be heard. Di Shitian stopped in front of the mountain peaks that looked like the gates of hell. He raised his head and looked at the two mountain peaks. Voila! In the void, a gentle breeze blew past, blowing away the black clouds that shrouded the mountain peaks. On the mountain peaks, two gloomy and ferocious ancient seals strangely appeared. On the left appeared Fengdu. On the right appeared Gates of Hell. Fengdu Gates of Hell. Di Shitian's eyes suddenly flashed with a flash of light. It was only 4 simple words, but the moment he saw them, he felt as if hundreds of millions of ghosts and gods suddenly pounced on him. A bone-chilling yin qi seeped into his body. Even the most courageous cultivator would be unable to help themselves from quickly retreating in that instant. Even his body could not help but tense up. What a shocking aura. Fengdu Gates of Hell, TSK. This Ghost Valley is definitely not simple. Ming also felt the previous scene and could not help but say with a solemn expression, "It is indeed strange." Di Shitian could not help but think to himself. However, he did not retreat because of this and walked directly to the Gates of Hell. Swoosh! After passing through the Gates of Hell, a gloomy black fog suddenly surged in the air and shrouded his body. At the same time, strands of cold aura from the air began to continuously invade his body through the pores on his body. That power was extremely strange. After entering his body, it emitted a bone-piercing cold power that slowed down the circulation of his flesh and blood. It was as if it was devouring the vitality in his body. There was no need to do anything. The moment the cold aura invaded his body, the demon refining cauldron in the demon mansion immediately activated and emitted a strong devouring power. It swept the cold aura that entered his body into the cauldron and was refined into pure energy in the blink of an eye by the demon refining cauldron. It was unable to cause any harm to the demon body. Patter. Di Shitian lifted his foot and stepped forward. His entire body rose from the ground and directly stepped on the air as if he was walking on flat ground. The Ghost Valley secret realm can indeed perform magical powers. Sakura stood quietly in the void, as if he was deep in thought. As soon as he entered the Ghost Valley, he immediately realized that the law of heaven and earth that had been restraining him all the time had suddenly disappeared. He was secretly surprised. Hey! Strange. Di Shitian looked around and could not help but let out a surprised voice. What's strange? Ming asked in surprise. According to Big Rat, there should be groups of malicious ghosts in the Ghost Valley. When I came in just now, I did not hide my tracks at all. I did not even conceal my aura. Logically speaking, there should be malicious ghosts that have smelled my aura and want to kill me. Why is it so quiet here? Sakura slightly frowned as he looked around. After entering the Ghost Valley, it wasn't completely correct to say that the Ghost Valley was a valley. After entering this place, it was like entering another space. At a glance, it was almost impossible to see the end. The air was filled with a faint ghost fog. When the cold wind blew, it brought with it a chilling aura. Yin mountains stood tall, and there were also all kinds of yin forests here. Even the trees and flowers had a yin qi. The ground under his feet was black. This was not normal soil, but the ninth underworld soil. In this land, it could even give birth to malicious spirits and ghosts on its own. But the strange thing was that when he looked around, there was not a single ghost in the Ghost Valley, which was said to have countless malicious ghosts. It was as if all the living beings in a bustling human ancient city had suddenly disappeared. The scene was the same. It's strange. Ming did not notice it at first. Now that he was reminded, he immediately noticed the strangeness. His expression also became serious. The 3,000 feet long dragon body that was hovering in the inner world facing the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive could not help but curl up into a dragon mountain. He extended his dragon claws and stroked his dragon whiskers. He revealed a thoughtful expression and said, "Now that you mention it, I also feel that something is wrong. Hey, there's Devil Chi. A demon god has entered. Let's hide first." The moment he spoke, Di Shitian had a thought. Invisibility technique. Seamless technique. This concealment technique was instantly unleashed, and the aura emanating from his entire body was completely concealed. Seamless technique was an ancient concealment technique. Once used, it was like a heavenly robe. There would not be any flaws. There were 3 realms of seamless technique. Once cultivated to the first realm, one could close all the pores on one's body at any time and hide one's aura. But one had to exert a certain amount of energy to maintain it. The second realm condensed all the aura in one's body and no longer spread out through one's pores. The third realm could even restrain one's life force and aura. At that time, if one treated oneself as a dead person, one would be a dead person. When one was a stone, one would be a stone. This cultivation technique had been imparted to him by Ming in the Sky Split Tower. As his cultivation level increased, so did the heavenly robes level. It had already reached the 3rd level, the highest level. A heavenly robe lotus seed had formed on the 10th stage black lotus in his body. It became the 8th superpower lotus seed in the black lotus. Coupled with the seamless technique, suddenly, Di Shitian's body disappeared in midair. It was as if he had never appeared. No one could detect him with their divine consciousness or naked eyes. Bang! 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 In front of the gates of hell, a series of rapid rumbling sounds could be heard. Amidst the sounds, there were no less than 10,000 pitch-black demon gods, who looked even more ferocious and hideous than the most terrifying evil spirit. They were dressed in black, and they were riding a strange demon beast that was equally hideous and terrifying, but had a vertical eye on its head. It's the devouring ghost clan of the demon god continent. That's the soul-subduing beast. Ming couldn't help but cry out in surprise. He was extremely surprised by the appearance of the devouring ghost clan. Devouring ghost clan? The devouring ghost clan is born with the power to suppress demon gods. Demon gods are indispensable food to them. They feed on demon gods. They are the nemesis of demon gods. In the demon god continent, they are the superior demon god clan. They have always been mysterious. I didn't expect them to appear here. No wonder there are no malicious ghosts in the Phantom Valley. Ming rolled his eyes quickly and suddenly said, Crazy DI, the Devouring Ghost Clan must be extraordinary. 10,000 Devouring Ghost Clan members. TSK. They can even suppress 10 million malicious ghosts. If we follow them later, we might be able to find out some secrets. Something big must have happened in the Phantom Valley. Sakura took a deep breath. His mind was calm, and he quickly operated as he secretly guessed in his mind. Boom, boom, boom. 10,000 Devouring Ghost Clan members rushed forward like a gust of wind. Di Shitian followed behind without hesitation. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 748. The 10,000 devouring ghost demon gods seemed to be very familiar with the Phantom Valley. They did not stop along the way. Like the wind, they rushed into the depths of the Phantom Valley in an orderly formation. Along the way, they passed many yin mountains and all kinds of dense yin forests, which were quickly left behind. Where are they going? What exactly happened in the Ghost Valley that provoked the demon capital to come here? Di Shitian quickly flew forward, following closely behind the group of demon gods. He was not in a hurry and kept them in his sight. The soul-subduing beasts under them were extremely fast. As soon as they appeared, they moved like the wind and lightning. In an instant, the entire demon army appeared in front of a huge black river. Wisps of strange black gas were emitted from the river. A large number of malicious ghosts floated up and down in the river, letting out mournful ghost howls. Kill. Splash. The 10,000 demon gods unfurled their black robes at the same time and tossed them away, revealing their muscular bodies. They were pitch black in color, and there were countless vertical pupils on their chests. Swoosh. 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 These demon eyes shot out beams of black divine light, landing on the malicious ghosts. They were frozen on the spot, and all the ghost howls disappeared instantly. The demon gods opened their bloody mouths and inhaled at the black river. A gust of wind swept up the malicious ghosts in the river and threw them into their mouths. The strange mouths opened and closed, chewing back and forth, chewing the malicious ghosts and swallowing them into their stomachs. An ordinary person would have fainted at this scene. Rumble. While devouring the malicious ghosts, these Fiend Celestials charged straight into the long black river. They flowed along the river and treaded on the waves at lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared. After the demon god left, Sakura also appeared by the side of the black river. This is the Nether River. Ming frowned slightly and called out in surprise. The long river in front of him was extremely strange. This river fell from the sky. One was connected to the void, and the other was slanted and extended downwards. It was not an ordinary slanted river, but it extended downwards. It extended downwards. The pitch-black river water carried with it an eerie chill. Di Shitian tried to step into the Netherworld River. Immediately, he saw a layer of pitch-black ice crystals condensing on his feet and spreading upwards at a speed visible to the naked eye. With just a slight tremble, the ice crystals on the surface of the sword were shattered. This Phantom Valley has more than one level, Di Shitian said with certainty as he scanned the direction of the river Styx. With the river Styx and the previous information, I could roughly guess what this ghost valley was made of. If he was not mistaken, it should be a remnant of the 100 Ghosts parade painting that had fallen from the ancient times. The Nether River was unique to the 100 Ghosts parade painting. They could take ownerless remnant souls from the void and bring them into the Nether River. Then, the power of the Nether River would condense them into countless malicious ghosts. Normally, the 100 Ghosts portrait had 9 ghost domains. The Underworld River was connected to the Ghost Realm. It ran through the entire map. Presumably, this Ghost Valley also had 9 levels. We should be in the first level now. Quick, go down the river Styx. Hurry up and follow them. Those demon gods must have dug out the mystery of the Ghost Valley. Even Dark's voice began to sound excited. Okay, today I'll see what kind of secret this ghost valley contains. It actually made Mo Du dispatch all the elites here. Di Shitian made a decision without hesitation. The resurrection grass could only be nurtured in a place with the densest soul power. If this ghost valley had 9 levels, then the probability of nurturing it in the 9th level at the bottom would be much higher than in other places. Immediately, without hesitation, he rushed into the river Styx and stepped on it. With a thought, the river Styx under his feet rumbled and a black water dragon soared into the sky. Di Shitian stepped on the black dragon's head and drove it down quickly. The 2nd level. Riding on the black dragon and following the current of the river Styx, he was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he shuttled to the 2nd level of the Ghost Valley. He glanced around and found that there was not a single malicious ghost in the 2nd level, as if it had completely disappeared. Go straight to the 9th level. Seeing this, Di Shitian made up his mind without hesitation. He did not care about the situation along the way and directly rushed down to the 9th level. The river Styx was also strange. The lower he went, the more terrifying the cold power in the river Styx was. The terrifying cold air was constantly drilling into his body through his pores. However, the cold air could not cause any harm to him. As soon as it entered his body, it was directly swallowed and refined by the demon refining cauldron. Fortunately, he had the demon refining cauldron. Otherwise, the cold power would have been eroded and damaged when he reached the 7th level. The 3rd level. The 4th level. With the 10,000 demon army in front, all the malicious ghosts in the river Styx were cleaned up by them. The path was unusually smooth. Not long after, they followed the river Styx all the way down to the 9th level. As soon as they arrived and came out of the river Styx, a ghostly aura of the underworld, which was many times denser than the other levels, greeted them. The air was thick, and there were wisps of liquid black gas floating in the air. With a breath, the ghostly aura of the underworld directly entered his body. The cold power burst out, trying to freeze his flesh and blood. But it was quickly sucked away by the demon refining cauldron. What a dense ghostly aura of the underworld. After entering the 9th level, Di Shitian did not care about anything else. He immediately used the art of invisibility to hide his body again. Then, he looked around. Hiss. He could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Even his eyes could not help but widen instantly. He thought to himself, as expected, something big has happened. So many elites of the demon capital have come. No wonder the dragon demon crown prince was able to endure it after suffering a loss at my hands. Even when I built Sky Pillar City, he did not do anything. It turns out that he put all his forces here. What a huge ghost city, Ming exclaimed. Looking around, he saw that the 9th level was not only vast, but the black underworld soil had nurtured all kinds of things that could only be found in the underworld. In the past, this would be the paradise of countless hostile ghosts. However, at this moment, there was not a single hostile ghost in this underworld soil. Instead, there were teams of demon army and elite demon gods scattered around in an orderly manner. There were no less than 300,000 dragon demon army and 400,000 seven demon army. There were no less than 200,000 demon army of the devouring ghost clan. In addition, there were other scattered demon gods. At a glance, there were more than 1 million demon gods gathered here. Not to mention the massive demon beast army on the ground. They were densely packed. At a glance, there were at least billions of them. At this moment, the violent demon beasts stood upright in an orderly manner. They were scattered all around, as if they could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. The demon army was so powerful that the entire void was shrouded in demonic aura. In the air, countless demon generals were roaring crazily, letting out strange cries that sent chills down one's spine. In the middle of the demon army's encirclement was a huge ancient city. The ancient city was built with a type of pitch-black heaven underworld stone. Not only was it hard, but it also had a strange nourishing effect on ghosts. It was extremely beneficial. No one knew how much heaven underworld stone had been used to build this ancient city. On the ancient city, There were countless mysterious ghost runes flickering on it. Countless mysterious ghost runes intertwined to form a mysterious restriction. On the city gate, there were two simple and unadorned ancient characters, Fengju. The ancient city gate was closed. On the ancient city wall, countless ghost generals and ghost soldiers were densely distributed in every inch of the city. They held cold weapons in their hands as they looked coldly at the demon army outside. Upon closer inspection, one could even see the heads of oxen and the faces of horsemen. They were emitting a ferocious aura. At the top of the city wall, there was a flag. There was no picture on the flag. There were only two words, Fengju. It was just two words, but it brought about a terrifying deterrence. It was as if it was not just two words, but a terrifying existence. Fengju Ghost City. Could this be the imperial capital that the Ghost Emperor of Fengju built back then, Fengju Ghost City? Ming looked at the ancient city in horror. During this period, he had absorbed the knowledge of countless cultivators. His rich experience allowed him to make up for most of the things that happened after the ancient times. According to what he knew, after the ancient war, Fengju Ghost City in the underworld had mysteriously disappeared. Fengju Ghost City was the ancient city where the Ghost Emperor of Fengju lived. It was said that this ancient city itself was a terrifying treasure. It was an ancient city that had reached the peak of the supreme level. It could reach the supreme level at any time. It was extremely powerful and could be called a weapon of war. Fengju Ghost City had always been closely connected to the Ghost Emperor of Fengju. In the city, there was a temporary palace. The Nether River, the Ghost Valley, and the Fengju Ghost City in front of us. Could it be that the ancient map that fell from the sky back then was actually the top-grade carnate spiritual treasure in the Ghost Emperor of Fengju's hands, the 100 Ghosts Parade Portrait? Ming said in horror, rumor has it that after the ancient times, the Ghost Emperor of Fengju disappeared without a trace. He might have already fallen. Could it be that he is hiding here? Was he severely injured or has he already died? This place has something to do with the Ghost Emperor of Fengju. Di Shitian's heart was also stirred. He had heard of the Ghost Emperor of Fengju back in the Myriad Tribulations cave abode. His deeds could be said to be legendary. In the ancient times, he was an expert with unparalleled combat strength. Before coming to the Ghost Valley, he had never thought that he would be connected to him again. Innate divine ability, clairaudience. Di Shitian secretly used his divine ability. His ears trembled rapidly. All kinds of sounds between heaven and earth were transmitted to his ears. Waves of discussions entered his ears. The star-plucking demon Venerable is indeed powerful. After spending so many years, he finally opened the passage in the Ghost Valley and broke through to the 9th level. He found this Fengju Ghost City in front of us. It is said that the demon Venerable had personally infiltrated the Ghost City and found a 9-dragon emperor coffin in the temporary palace. The Ghost Emperor of Fengju was lying in that coffin. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 749. Yes, the demon Venerable guessed that the Fengju Ghost Emperor didn't die, but he was severely injured. Rumor has it that in ancient times, the Fengju Ghost Emperor was besieged by the devouring ghost demon ancestor, the blood demon god, and the heartless demon emperor. They fought for 9 days and 9 nights. In the end, his undying ghost body was broken, and even his indestructible primordial spirit was severely injured. He was cursed by the devouring ghost demon ancestor's devouring ghost seal. Just as the devouring ghost demon ancestor was about to put him into the sky demon's blood gourd, the Fengju Ghost Emperor self-detonated the 100 Ghosts Parade painting and forced his way out. Back then, the devouring ghost devil lord had said that any ghost cultivator who was struck by the devouring ghost devil seal would not live for long. Even the Ghost Emperor would not be an exception and would definitely die. Who would have thought that the Ghost Emperor of Fengju would not die? TSK, so what if he's not dead? He's still sleeping in the 9 Dragons Emperor coffin. This time, the star-plucking demon Venerable discovered that there was an innate spiritual embryo in the Emperor coffin. There were also many treasures offered by countless ghost generals in the Emperor Palace. If we can get these things, the strength of the demon capital will increase greatly. We can raise the city of exile in one fell swoop. Then, we can destroy the bullshit Sky Pillar City. It's said that there are great treasures in the Emperor Palace. Even the body heart that the Crown Prince is looking for is in the collection. If we can take down the Fengdu Ghost City and occupy the Ghost Valley, the demon capital will be able to sweep the entire land of exile. Only the demon capital will reign supreme. Damn it, these malicious ghosts have all retreated into the Ghost City. It seems like the subordinates of the Fengdu Ghost Emperor in the Ghost City want to fight to the death with us. Some small ghosts are nothing to be afraid of, but these guys can be reborn again. They are very difficult to kill. I wonder if the devouring ghost clan has thought of a way. For a moment, Di Shitian heard all kinds of discussions in the demon army. Although his body was hidden, the shock in his heart could not be expressed with words. In the bottom of his heart, it was as if there were thousands of surging waves rolling. The Fengdu Ghost Emperor might not be dead. He might still be sleeping in the Emperor Palace of Fengdu. There's actually an innate spiritual embryo in the Emperor Palace. These few pieces of information immediately reverberated in his mind. TSK, the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu. That was one of the top ferocious gods among the unparalleled experts during the ancient times. Ever since the ancient times, he has lost his voice. Now, it seems that he was indeed besieged and attacked by the demon god continent and ended up in this banished land. Even now, he was still in a deep slumber. It seemed that he had not completely recovered from the injuries he had suffered back then. The devouring ghost seal was a peerless combat skill that was specially created to deal with ghost cultivators. If ordinary ghost cultivators were to be hit, their ghost bodies would crumble on the spot and their divine souls would dissipate. Only the Ghost Emperor can withstand it. Nether sighed with emotion when she heard the news. There's even a carnate spirit embryo. It seems like the Fengdu Ghost Emperor once entered the primal chaos alone to refine another carnate spirit treasure. That's good stuff. If you can get your hands on it, you might be able to refine a natal spirit treasure of your own. Although you have many treasures, the tiger's soul is a natal spirit weapon and a weapon of slaughter. It is indispensable. The 7 Sins demonic zither is a great weapon of slaughter in large-scale battles. Its Tao of sound attacks are impossible to guard against and are indispensable. Although the wine god gourd is an inferior carnate spirit treasure, it has unparalleled miraculous effects in brewing wine. It can be said to have contributed greatly to your cultivation. These are all things that cannot be abandoned. However, the mirror of sealing is not your natal spirit treasure. Its potential is limited. Although it is a sealing spirit treasure, it cannot be relied upon for long periods of time. The tiger's soul and the 7 Sins demonic zither are both weapons of slaughter. Lunatic Emperor, in my opinion, you still need a natal spirit treasure. Nether had rich experience and was an antique from the ancient times. Although divine weapons were important, natal spirit treasures were also indispensable. It had said before that it had not seen a suitable one. Now that it heard that there was an innate spiritual embryo in Fengdu Ghost City, its mind immediately became active. If it could obtain that innate spiritual embryo, it could definitely refine a natal spirit treasure. It could greatly increase Di Shitian's strength. It depends on the opportunity. Di Shitian's eyes lit up slightly, but he did not lose his mind because of the natal spirit treasure. Some things could be taken, and some things could not be taken. Although treasures were good, they were only external objects. If one were to blindly plunder them, one would only be enslaved by the treasure. What is the Ghost Emperor's temperament? Di Shitian pondered and asked. Ghost Emperor? Nether was slightly taken aback, and a look of caution appeared in its eyes. It said, the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu is a mighty figure in the underworld. He built Fengdu Ghost City in the underworld and recruited many ghostly cultivators. He is very strict with his subordinates and has strict discipline. He has never been harsh to the ghostly tribes under his rule. However, he is very protective of his own people. If others do not offend him, he will not offend them. If anyone dares to offend him, what follows will be a thunderous attack. He will not show any mercy and will kill his enemies. However, he is quite friendly to his friends. Back in the ancient times, my master, the Emperor of the Underworld, had a lot of friendship with the Ghost Emperor. It was said that one can only be friends with the Ghost Emperor and not an enemy. As a friend, on the battlefield, one can entrust one's back to the Ghost Emperor. The Ghost Emperor's true temperament. This evaluation was already not considered low. Just the words true temperament alone was enough to give Di Shitian a rough impression of the Ghost Emperor. With such a temperament, he would definitely not be a two-faced, despicable, and shameless person. There are a few generals under the Ghost Emperor. They are all peak powerhouses among the ancient giants. They are the Black and White Impermanence, the Iron Face Judge, the Oxhead, and the Horseface Judge. It is said that these 5 were only a few steps away from becoming unparalleled powerhouses. I wonder if they are in Fengju Ghost City. When Nether said these words, even its expression was quite serious. It was obvious that it had a trace of respect for the Ghost Emperor of Fengju in its heart. At this moment, there was a sudden change in the battlefield. Roar! A domineering dragon's roar rang out, tearing apart the clouds in the sky. A 10,000-meter-long demonic dragon abruptly emerged from the demonic clouds. Its enormous dragon wings flapped slightly, sweeping up terrifying gales. On the back of the demon dragon was the dragon demon crown prince. He wore a black mask, a demon dragon robe, and a flat imperial crown. His demonic hair danced wildly, and he held a dragon demon god-devouring spear in his hand. His entire body emitted an evil aura as he stood on the demon dragon like an ancient evil god. A vast demonic aura naturally flowed out. Fengju Ghost Emperor, this crown prince knows that you are not dead yet. However, you are just struggling at death's door. If you are willing to acknowledge this crown prince as your master, perhaps this crown prince can help you get rid of the ghost-devouring seal in your body. Otherwise, once the city is breached, don't blame this crown prince for feeding you to my god-devouring spear. The dragon demon crown prince let out a sinister laugh. He wasn't trying to subdue the Ghost Emperor of Fengju. Instead, he was humiliating the entire Fengju city. How dare a mere child speak such arrogant words and humiliate his majesty? Do you really think that there are no ghosts in Fengju? You little demon, even if Grandpa is injured, I can still beat you to death today. Watch me, Oxhead, chop off your dog head and offer it to his majesty. Humiliating the Ghost Emperor was equivalent to humiliating the entire Fengju city. Immediately, countless malicious ghosts in the city let out sharp ghost howls. At the same time, a thunderous roar came from the city. Bang! 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 The ground rumbled. He was 3,000 feet tall, burly and ferocious. He had a giant bull's head on his neck, and he wore a pitch-black ghostly armor. He had a black soul-reaping chain on his waist, and he carried a simple black battle-axe on his back. On the axe's head was a ferocious demon. He naturally exuded a chilling aura. It's General Ox. General Ox is mighty. He can definitely kill this bullshit demon god. In Fengju City, countless malicious ghosts let out excited cries. The one who appeared was actually Oxhead, General Ox. The 5 generals under the Ghost Emperor of Fengju are indeed in Fengju City. Good heavens, could that battle axe be the legendary ghost axe? It's said that it was refined from a piece of Netherheaven ghost iron in the Netherworld. Who knows how many malicious ghosts condensed in the axe? TSK, although this battle axe isn't a Xiantian treasure, it's a supreme treasure. In terms of power, it's comparable to a Xiantian spirit treasure. It's extremely terrifying. There's a good show to watch now. Dark let out a strange cry. His 2 eyes stared fixedly at the battlefield. I'll chop you to death, you little demon. Oxhead glared and immediately soared into the air, grabbing the ghost axe in his hand. With a turn of the axe, he chopped towards Dragon Devil Prince. Crack! This axe was incomparably sharp. Under the axe, a pitch-black axe light appeared in the space, and a sharp crack appeared in the void. The sharpness of the ghost axe was completely displayed at this moment. Under the axe, everything would be split apart, and there was no way to dodge. The power and the ghostly howls of the billions of malicious ghosts that appeared in the axe caused the billions of demonic beasts outside the city to spurt out demonic blood. Even their spines began to bend under the pressure. Bang, bang, bang. Countless demonic beasts knelt on the ground under the pressure of the axe. The power of a supreme treasure was truly terrifying. Good timing. The dragon devil crown prince was not alarmed, but laughed instead. Oxhead, you were at the peak of the ancient giant back then, cultivating to the peak of the ancient heavenly ghost among the ghost cultivators. However, it's a pity that you've suffered heavy injuries now, so you can only display the strength of an early heavenly ghost. This prince is at the peak of the early sky demon realm. I'm not afraid of you. Watch out for my spear. The dragon demon devourer spear stabbed out at a tricky angle. Clang. The tip of the spear pierced the blade of the ghost axe. Countless malicious ghosts swarmed out of the axe. 9 demonic dragons roared in the demonic spear. The malicious ghosts and demonic dragons fiercely tore at each other. The instant confrontation caused the entire void to shake violently. The surrounding space was constantly distorting. But it didn't shatter. The shocking collision stirred up the wind and clouds. The aura emitted caused the air of the entire battlefield to begin to solidify, becoming incomparably oppressive. Boom, boom, boom. The demonic beasts and the demonic army retreated one after another. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidyen.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 750. There are actually 2 sky demon. The foundation of demonic city is really deep. Di Shitian used the seamless secret technique together with the art of invisibility to hide his entire body without a trace. Unless it was a cultivator who cultivated eye techniques or had the ability to use eye techniques, they would not be able to see through his art of invisibility. Moreover, the other party's cultivation had to be at least at the level of an ancient demon saint. They followed behind him silently. He carefully scanned the 2 figures in front of him and could not help but be surprised. They were actually 2 demon gods who were not inferior to the dragon demon crown prince and the 7 fiends demon venerables. There were no less than 5 sky demon gathered here alone. It could be seen how deeply rooted demonic city's forces were. These 2 sky demon have infiltrated Fengdu. It's very likely that they want to harm the ghost emperor of Fengdu. What a good magic city. They're using a diversion tactic to sneak through Chenkang. Sakura came to a sudden realization. It was no wonder that even though Magic City knew that they couldn't win against the few ghosts and deities in Fengdu who had a fierce reputation since ancient times, they still wanted to use such a method. They even wanted to provoke Fengdu with all their might through words and actions. They were simply trying to stall the Oxhead, Horseface, and the Iron-Faced Judge. They wanted to make Fengdu City weak so that they could take the opportunity to secretly attack. Ming, you said that the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu has 5 generals. The Iron-Faced Judge, Oxhead, and Horseface have appeared. However, the black and white impermanents have not appeared. Could it be that these 2 are guarding the Imperial Palace now? He followed the 2 in front and directly passed through the city walls and entered Fengdu. Once he entered Fengdu, Di Shitian quickly scanned the city. He could not help but click his tongue in wonder. The city was not filled with towering buildings and endless traffic as he had imagined. What appeared in front of him were ancient tombs of various sizes. These ancient tombs were built with great care. The materials used were not ordinary. Every one of them had the aura of the soul cultivation wood. It was extremely beneficial to ghosts and ghost cultivators. With a piece of soul-nurturing wood in hand, it would greatly boost one's cultivation. To ghostly cultivators, it was the best treasure. There was also the soul-nurturing jade. This was a ghost Dao treasure that was even more precious than the soul-nurturing wood. Looking at these ancient tombs in the city, there wasn't a hint of disorder. Instead, They looked like houses in the secular world. These ancient tombs were the only places of residence in Fengdu. Ancient tombs stretched as far as the eye could see. In front of the tombs were tombstones with the names of the tombs written on them. There were also shops and restaurants. However, with the exception of the ghost tribe, very few cultivators from the other races would be interested in drinking wine in an ancient tomb. A sinister aura was emitted from the city. It was as if the entire city was a huge unmarked graveyard. It was really strange. Those who were slightly timid would be so scared that their hearts would jump out of their chests upon entering this place. And in the city, there was a huge palace. This palace was the only building in the city that wasn't an ancient tomb. It could be said that it was quite eye-catching. TSK, this palace is one of a kind in the world. It caused quite a commotion in the ancient times. When the ghost emperor of Fengdu was traveling in the chaos, he came across a piece of soul stone. In great joy, he used the soul stone as the main material and added other materials that were extremely beneficial to ghost cultivators. It was refined successfully. Living here, even if one doesn't cultivate, one's ghost body and spirit will continue to strengthen. If one cultivates, it has the miraculous effect of advancing 1,000 miles in a day. There's also the power to nourish the spirit. This is a ghost Dao treasure. Ming looked at the palace in front of him with great envy. The palace was pitch black and had a mysterious charm. On top of it, black coiled dragon pillars stood tall. On the walls, there were lifelike portraits of emperors that were connected together as if they were narrating the legendary life experiences of a certain emperor. It naturally exuded a dignified and mighty aura. On top of the palace, a few ancient seals appeared. Imperial Palace of Fengdu. In front of the Imperial Palace, the security was tight. Ghost immortals in armor exuded a valiant aura as they stood in front of the Imperial Palace like statues. Each of them exuded a domineering aura that was not inferior to that of an ancient demon sage. As long as one wasn't an ancient giant, no one could escape the surveillance of these guards. There were also several ghost armies that were constantly patrolling back and forth. The security was so tight that even a fly couldn't fly in. On top of the plaque of the Imperial Palace, there was a pitch-black ancient mirror erected. That mirror was facing the entrance of the Imperial Palace. Any cultivator who walked in front of it would be reflected. Their figures were revealed. This mirror was quite famous. It was called the Sky Nether Mirror, and it was also a famous treasure. With the ancient mirror guarding, there were probably very few who could silently avoid the ancient mirror and enter the Imperial Palace. Swoosh swoosh. At this moment, in front of the Imperial Palace, which had always been peaceful, two demonic figures descended from the sky. Who's there? Bang! 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 In front of the Imperial Palace, thousands of guards heard the noise and instantly glared at the two demonic figures. At the same time, the weapons in their hands turned around and emitted sharp glints. In front of them, two demonic figures appeared. One of them had a head of purple demonic hair and was abnormally ugly. He wore a green robe and had a blood-red gourd at his waist. Even if he didn't move, he looked like a ferocious and terrifying demon just by standing there. Old Ghost WN, hurry up and do it. Don't alarm the Iron Judge outside. The judge's brush in his hand is too sharp. With WN Meow's strength, she won't be able to hold him back for long. We have to end the battle quickly before the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu recovers and activate the ghost-devouring seal in that old ghost's body. Break the 9-Dragon Emperor's coffin that he's residing in and kill him completely. An old man in a black starry robe had a trace of ruthlessness in his eyes. He carried a pitch-black demonic flag on his back. His hands were extremely slender and fair like a young girl's skin. They looked perfect and tight. Even women would be jealous of his hands. With a slight wave of his hands, he seemed to be able to control the trajectory of heaven and earth. Old Demon Zhai Xing, why are you in such a hurry? The demon master glanced at old demon Zhai Xing and said in annoyance. It's a demonic god. How dare you barge into the Ghost Emperor's palace? Kill without mercy. Kill. The guards reacted immediately. Without hesitation, They shouted and charged towards the two old demons. Ghost-suppressing demonic eyes, appear. When the myriad ghost demon Venerable saw the 1,000 guards charging towards them with killing intent, he did not panic at all. He took off his green robe and exposed his chest. In an instant, demonic eyes appeared on his chest one after another. Swoosh, swoosh. There were a total of 2,000 of them, and all of them had been closed the entire time. At this moment, all of them opened at the same time, and 2,000 rays of devilish light shot out from them, heading straight for the 1,000 guards who were charging toward them. The demonic lights were extremely strange. They couldn't be dodged at all. They would lock onto their targets and chase after them. Their speed was as fast as lightning. Without any surprise, the demonic lights landed on the 1,000 guards at the same time. Immediately, strange demonic eyes appeared on the foreheads of the ghosts and deities. The power emitted from the demonic eyes suppressed them completely. His entire body seemed to have been immobilized by the body-fixing technique. They were motionless like statues. However, their faces were emitting a painful expression. Demon Master 1000 Ghost, the innate ability of your devouring ghost clan is indeed powerful. No wonder you've always been the nemesis of all the ghosts and deities in this world. You can even suppress these ghost cultivators who have reached the level of an ancient ghost sage. When old demon Jai Xing saw this, his eyes flashed with a strange light. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and take down the heavenly netherworld mirror. Although my ghost-suppressing demonic eyes are powerful, it can't trap these ghosts and deities for too long. The most important thing now is to sneak into the Imperial Palace. Before me, there's no treasure that I can't pluck. Take my star-plucking hand. Old demon Jai Xing let out a strange cry. He moved his right hand, and his hand, which was even more perfect than a woman's, was swiftly lifted. His 5 fingers turned slightly and his body moved. However, no one could see how he did it. An ancient mirror had appeared in his hand at his original position. Surprisingly, it was the Tianming mirror. What a strange star-seizing hand. It can actually cut off all the rules of heaven and earth in an instant, forming a strange space under the hand to bind the treasure. Sakura sucked in a breath of cold air, and his eyes couldn't help but contract. In ancient times, this star-plucking hand had once plucked out the heart of an unparalleled expert from his chest. It's simply a heaven-stealing method. Ming was also astonished. He purposely reminded Di Shitian to be careful. Let's follow them first. The 2 old demons' methods were extremely powerful. They could easily destroy the guards of the Imperial Palace. Di Shitian guessed that the black and white deities shouldn't be in Fengdu. Otherwise, they would have already come out. It seemed as though it wasn't the first time the 2 old demons had entered. After entering the Imperial Palace, they rushed towards a secret place. There weren't any guards in the Imperial Palace. They were unobstructed along the way. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at a strange palace. In the middle of the palace, a pitch-black imperial coffin appeared before their eyes. On the imperial coffin, there were 9 lifelike black underworld dragons coiled around it. They even seemed to have a life of their own as they swam back and forth on the imperial coffin. They opened their dragon mouths and absorbed endless underworld ghost energy from their surroundings. They entered their bodies. Then, these underworld dragons spat out waves of strange energy that was black and purple in the imperial coffin. They entered the imperial coffin. They turned into countless tiny black-purple underworld dragons and filled the imperial coffin. Inside the imperial coffin, there was a person wearing a black dragon robe, a flat imperial crown and an underworld jade belt. He had a squarish face and a dignified face. In between his brows, there was a strange mark that seemed to be in the shape of an axe. In contrast, he exuded an endless majesty. In the coffin, the dragon-shaped vital energy formed by the mysterious energy spat out by the underworld dragons drilled into his body like a tide. Thump, thump, thump. If one listened carefully, they could hear the rise and fall of the heart. With every rise and fall, a large amount of vital energy was swallowed. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 751. With the passage of time, the heartbeat became faster and slower. The scene was extremely strange. The strangest thing was that there was an ancient palace lantern on the lid of the coffin. The appearance of the lantern looked like a lotus flower. However, it was blood-red in color and looked like a crystal lantern made of blood jade. It looked extremely beautiful. The heart of the lantern was also blood-red in color and was emitting a ball of blood flame. Specks of light shone out, illuminating the entire palace. At the same time, the lantern exuded a strange power that connected to the void. A crack appeared in the sky above the blood jade palace lantern, forming a vortex. From the vortex, countless pitch-black gas flowed into the palace lantern and into the 9 dragons emperor coffin from the palace lantern. Every wisp of the black gas contained boundless resentment and viciousness. It seemed to be drawn from the land of exile and was refined by the palace lantern before being poured into the coffin. Bang! 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 Huge amounts of resentment and viciousness poured into the coffin. The entire coffin started to tremble as though an unparalleled ferocious god was awakening. Boundless netherworld ghost chi surged into the body of the Fengdu ghost emperor. The black hair of the ghost emperor in the coffin fluttered even though there was no wind. On his body, traces of pressure were increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not good. The Fengdu ghost emperor wants to revive. Quick, use the ghost-suppressing nail. The 2 old demons rushed into the palace and saw the commotion in the 9 dragon emperor coffin. Their expressions changed and old demon Zhai Xing roared. HMPH, he wants to revive. Don't worry, he won't be able to live. Back then, I stole the supreme devil treasure of the clan, the ghost-suppressing nail. That's why I was exiled here by the clan. Today, it will come in handy. Ghost-suppressing nail, nail this coffin to death for me. I want the Fengdu ghost emperor to never see the light of day again. Whoosh! Whoosh! Light flashed in myriad ghost demon monarch's hand, and 9 pitch-black demonic spikes appeared in his hand. He chanted a demonic incantation, and countless demonic runes appeared on the 9 spikes. They drew 9 demonic lights in the air and appeared above the coffin. Then, they slammed down on the coffin. Whoosh! The ghost-suppressing nail was incomparably sharp. It became 9 inches and 9 inches long in the air and nailed down the edge of the coffin. The tip of the nail forcibly nailed into the coffin lid, and with a speed visible to the naked eye, it nailed down inch by inch. Traces of devil runes spread to the coffin. It was unknown whether it was intentional or not, but the 9 ghost-suppressing nails nailed the coffin. The coffin was sealed. The surrounding nether ghost chi could no longer enter the emperor's coffin, as if it had been sealed. Unable to absorb any more primordial chi. However, the blood jade palace lantern placed on top of the emperor's coffin continued to absorb resentment, completely unaffected by the ghost-suppressing nail. Whoosh! 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 The moment the coffin was nailed down, the entire coffin began to shake violently. A vast force burst out from the coffin and rushed towards the nails. It wanted to force the 9 demonic nails out of the coffin. However, the moment the devil nails nailed into the coffin, they seemed to have taken root and were nailed down inch by inch. In the blink of an eye, they had nailed down 3 inches. However, under the impact of the power in the coffin, the ghost-suppressing nails began to slow down. Oh no, it's the ghost-suppressing nail. There's actually such a vicious devil treasure. It must be nailed down. Even a peerless expert will be half dead. Moreover, the 5 decay of heaven and man will descend immediately. If the ghost emperor was at his peak, he might not be afraid. But now, he's in big trouble. Once he's nailed down, I'm afraid he won't be able to withstand the attack of the 5 decay of heaven and man. Ming was horrified when he saw this scene. He obviously knew the origin of the ghost-suppressing nails. They were simply the nemesis of ghost cultivators. If this ghost-suppressing nail was nailed to any ghost cultivator, the spirit nail in the body would be completely destroyed on the spot. Even the spirit imprint would dissipate. It was truly terrifying. Each nail was a supreme devil treasure comparable to an innate spirit treasure. Most importantly, it was a set of 9 ghost-suppressing nails. The 9 nails were simply invincible. Ming's eyes turned red when he saw the ghost-suppressing nails, and he roared furiously, "Lunatic DI, hurry up and think of a way to remove these ghost-suppressing nail. All those years ago, my master, the Nether Emperor, was nailed to his body by a set of ghost-suppressing nails. If it wasn't for my master escaping with a trace of his spirit using the sky-stealing sun-swapping technique and entering the cycle of reincarnation, he would have been nailed to death. You must take away this set of ghost-suppressing nails." The hatred of Bak then surged into his mind. Another ancient lamp. This is the 3rd one. What kind of lamp is this? Di Shitian couldn't help but narrow his eyes when he saw the blood jade palace lamp on the emperor's coffin. The appearance of the lamp was almost identical to the underworld ghost lamp and the ancient suppressing demon lamp he had seen back then. Besides the difference in color, there was almost no difference. The 3rd one. This was the 3rd ancient lamp. He didn't expect to see it here with his own eyes. And it was on top of the Fengju ghost emperor's coffin. No matter what, this battle is inevitable. Di Shitian's heart stirred, and the purple gold ultimate emperor mask appeared on his face. The moment he put on the mask, his face naturally revealed a noble and mysterious majesty. His strength, which was originally at the early ancient demon sage level, suddenly soared to the mid-stage. Waves of purple gold ultimate emperor true force circulated in his body like blood. Ultimate Emperor Dao, God-fiend morning. Clang. The tiger soul was unsheathed, and the originally hidden body was instantly revealed. At the same time, 3,000 godfiends rushed out from the godfiend lotus seed in his body and surged into the tiger soul. The 3,000 godfiends instantly stirred up the heaven and earth yuan qi, and their strength surged violently. In the blink of an eye, they climbed to the early ancient demon sage level. They all returned to the blade. Waves of vast fiend god power stacked together, and the boundless will of the fiend god burst out, filling every inch of the palace. Kill. This blade directly slashed at the myriad ghost demon venerable's waist with a horizontal slash. The power contained in the blade, with the support of the 3,000 godfiends, instantly climbed to the level of an ancient demon sage. At the same time, an invisible sense of death filled every inch of the space. Even though the 2 old demons had extraordinary willpower, they couldn't help but be shaken. They only felt that the soul-stirring scene of an ancient god's death appeared in front of them, and even their minds were about to collapse. Damn it, monster. You want to trick me? The moment Di Shitian made his move, he attracted the attention of the 2 old demons. This was especially so for the myriad ghost demon venerable, who turned around almost immediately. When he saw the figure that suddenly appeared in front of him, he couldn't help but be enraged. Together with his ugly demon face, it was indescribably terrifying. A light flashed in his hand, and a scepter with a pitch-black skull embedded on it appeared. He casually waved his hand and blocked the tiger soul saber. Bang! The godfiend power contained in the tiger soul was unusually domineering. In addition to the tiger soul's endless sharpness, the golden saber light exploded with astonishing power. It collided with the demon emperor scepter that was refined from bones. Countless powerful wraiths emerged from the skull at the top of the scepter in an attempt to block the tiger soul and wear down its sharpness. However, the countless malicious spirits were directly slashed into pieces by the tiger soul. A vast amount of mighty power poured down. Without hesitation, he took a step forward brazenly. With a twist of his wrist, he changed from slashing to slicing. Along the scepter, he sliced toward the myriad ghost demon venerable's right hand at lightning speed. Crack! In the past, Di Shitian had fought with his own shadow in the infinite illusory realm to hone his battle skills. He had already comprehended his various battle skills to a pinnacle level. His every move left no traces behind. The speed at which he changed his moves was unfathomable. In addition to the godfiend power contained in the saber, it was truly amazing. The saber slashed at the myriad ghost demon venerable's wrist as fast as lightning. A sharp light flashed. Blood spurted out. A strange demonic claw was cut off. Ming, hurry up and take my treasure mirror of sealing and suppress that scepter. As Di Shitian shouted, a blood dragon rushed out from between his brows. In the dragon's claws was a snow-white treasure mirror. It was Ming who made the move. The treasure mirror of sealing in his hand suddenly emitted a ray of sealing divine light that landed on the Devil Emperor scepter. It was sucked into the mirror and sealed on the first page of the mirror. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The mirror vibrated intensely as a terrifying impact came from within. However, Ming's dragon claw pressed down on the treasure mirror of sealing, forcefully suppressing the scepter and not allowing it to break out of the mirror. However, the mirror couldn't seal it completely. What a monster! You actually dared to sneak an attack on your devil ancestor. Watch as I pluck out your heart and serve it as a dish. Old demon Zhai Xing's eyes were about to spurt fire. He had never expected that there would be a devil race following behind them. It was truly a case of the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Today, he was blinded by the oriole. To them, it was a supreme humiliation that they didn't notice that someone was following them. Star-plucking hand retrieve. One could see a demonic hand reaching for Di Shitian's heart. With a strange trajectory and a gorgeous technique, it traversed through the void strangely and probed over. The moment it made its move, it wanted to pluck out his heart. You want to pluck my heart? Let's see if you have the capability to do so. Di Shitian snorted coldly in his heart. Without even thinking, his flesh and blood circulated in a strange way. Emperor immortal body, inextinguishable divine ring. His flesh and blood gave birth to a divine ability. With a thought, a purple-gold halo appeared around him. Inside the immortal divine ring, there was a boundless sadness. It swept across all directions. The heavens and earth grieved, and the grass and trees withered. Bang! Not good. How could this be? What kind of strange halo is this? It's so sorrowful. Ever since I was born, I have never felt such emotions. It's strange. To think that it could make me feel sorrowful. What a monster. Could you be that devil emperor Di Shitian that suddenly appeared? Old demon Zhai Xing's expression changed drastically. His eyes started to turn red as countless sorrowful illusions appeared in his mind. If you want to know what happened next, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 752. The demonic technique that was originally at 100% in his hand had been reduced by more than 30%. Before it could land on Di Shitian's heart, it was blocked by the undying divine ring. Within the divine ring, the emperor's true dragon power was incomparably tyrannical. Not only did it block the star-plucking hand, the instant the demonic hand touched the divine ring, a purplish gold energy burst forth from the divine ring. It turned into purplish gold halos that surged towards the demonic hand. Catcher. The purplish gold divine rings started to revolve around the demonic hand. They continuously revolved from the bottom to the top. What was even more frightening was that every time the purple gold divine ring spun, it was as if it was being crushed by a giant grindstone. As the divine ring spun, the surface of the demonic hand began to twist. The sleeve on the arm was twisted into countless pieces and turned into dust. However, Old Demon Plucking Stars was an old demon that was comparable to an ancient heavenly demon after all. He circulated the demonic technique in his body and poured it into his arm, shattering those divine rings. You should have chopped off my hand. You're finished. Even if an ancient heavenly demon comes, it won't be able to save your life. Watch how my blood gourd beheads you. On the other side, the myriad ghosts' demon master's two demonic eyes were so furious that they were about to spit fire. Looking at his right hand, it was chopped off from the wrist. Moreover, the chopped-off demonic hand was instantly devoured by the tiger soul. It turned into pure demonic blood and was absorbed into the green pearl on the tiger soul. Looking at the green pearl, there was already a faint blood-red color. Once it completely turned blood-red, it would be time for it to level up again. After being devoured by the tiger soul, the chopped-off demonic hand couldn't be reattached. However, It still consumed a lot of vitality and grew out again. But the anger that surged up in his heart was simply going to burn Sakura completely. When he saw that the demon emperor scepter he had taken out had actually been temporarily suppressed by a sealing treasure, he became even more furious. Without even thinking about it, he reached out and grabbed the blood jade-like gourd pinned to his waist. He patted the blood jade gourd lightly. Whoosh! Suddenly, a ray of blood-red light shot out from the gourd and stared at Di Shitian. When the light stared at him, Di Shitian could not help but feel shocked. He felt as if the black lotus primordial spirit in his body was being stared at by something. Even its rotation came to a halt. He can actually pin my primordial spirit. Di Shitian was secretly shocked. However, in an instant, the demon refining cauldron in the Yarrow residence began to spin violently, emitting an infinite amount of divine light. The lid of the cauldron flew up and landed on the cauldron. Immediately, the black lotus primordial spirit in the cauldron was freed from its shackles. A heaven-grade demon abode was indeed mighty. Please turn around, darling. At this time, a cold shout was heard. From the blood jade gourd in Demon Sovereign's hand, a 3-inch long blood jade flying dagger shot out. On top of the dagger stood a thumb-sized girl wearing a blood-colored veil. She had a sad beauty about her. It was so lifelike that it aroused one's tender affection. Standing on the dagger, she gently twisted her waist and danced. Instantly, that blood saber appeared in front of him at a speed that was hard to be seen by the naked eye and slashed towards Sakura's neck. Crack! First, it collided with the inextinguishable divine ring around Sakura's body. That blood blade was so sharp that it was hard to imagine. The eternal divine ring, which had always been invincible and could not be broken even by the Dragon Demon Crown Prince's Dragon Demon God Devourer halberd, was only able to block the dagger for a moment before it was broken by the dagger. The dagger was aimed at Di Shitian's neck. Clang! It was fortunate that he had the imperishable divine ring to block the attack. Even though he was shocked that his divine ring had been destroyed, he still maintained his composure on the surface. Without even thinking, he flicked his wrist and swung the tiger soul saber upward, instantly blocking his neck. As soon as it appeared, it collided with the dagger, producing a loud sound. Roar! A mournful tiger's roar came from the tiger soul. Fortunately, the tiger soul had reached the level of a low-grade earth-rank demon weapon. It was incomparably tough. In addition, the dagger was blocked by the eternal divine ring, so the dagger was blocked by the tiger soul. It unwillingly turned into a ray of bloody light and returned to the blood jade gourd. In front of Di Shitian's neck, a strand of black hair strangely broke and drifted down on its own. Looking at the tiger soul dagger again, there was a clear dagger mark. Hiss! He could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. His pupils contracted as he looked at the blood jade gourd. He thought to himself, what a sharp dagger. What a terrifying blood jade gourd. What kind of demonic treasure is this? Rumble. The Emperor's coffin in the hall shook violently. The 9 ghost-suppressing nails were hammered down bit by bit. At the same time, the blood jade palace lantern that was placed in front of the Emperor's coffin was absorbing more resentment. The traces of blood-colored light suddenly retracted strangely and enveloped the entire Emperor's coffin. The traces of light illuminated the Emperor's coffin and were not affected by the ghost-suppressing nails as they poured into the coffin. In an instant, 123,600 blood-colored true dragons emerged from the Emperor's coffin and poured into the Fengdu Ghost Emperor's acupuncture points. Thump! In the coffin, all the vitality was devoured by the Ghost Emperor in an instant. Not even a trace of vitality was left. In his chest, the sound of a heartbeat could be heard. However, this heartbeat seemed to be connected to the entire heaven and earth. It was not the Ghost Emperor's heart. It was as though the heart of the entire heaven and earth was fluctuating and beating. Not good. Fengdu Ghost Emperor is having a change. Old man WN Gui, leave this Di Shitian to me. Hurry up and nail the ghost-suppressing nails down completely. Also, quickly destroy that palace lantern. That lantern should be the blood soul lantern of the 9 life lanterns that the life usurper fiend ancestor once predicted. Old devil Zhai Xing's expression changed drastically. He could faintly guess that the ghost emperor of Fengdu in the emperor's coffin was having a drastic change. When the undying divine ring was shattered, he also woke up from that shocking feeling of sorrow. With a flick of his hand, he grabbed the pitch-black demonic flag behind him. As soon as the demonic flag appeared, it faced the wind. Suddenly, the image on the flag was revealed. On the pitch-black flag, there were actually stars. There were a total of 365 stars, and they were distributed according to the number of cycles. They were moving according to a strange trajectory on the flag. Upon closer inspection, there seemed to be a terrifying feeling as though it was going to devour one's mind completely. Even one's mind would be shaken. When the devil flag appeared, the surrounding heaven and earth vitality was faintly suppressed to the point that it was about to solidify. With the devil flag as the center, it circulated. Supreme devil treasure, star immortal slaying flag. Demon, see how I will deal with you. A mere ancient demon sage dares to provoke me. Star immortal slaying flag. Old demon Zhai Xing's face was filled with malevolence. Without hesitation, he waved the devil flag. The devil flag instantly enlarged, and the pitch-black flag enveloped a large area of space. In an instant, it enveloped Di Shutian's surroundings. Whoosh! In the hall, Di Shutian's figure strangely disappeared. On the devil flag, the stars were reversing. It formed a strange world of stars. Not good. It's the star immortal slaying flag. There is a positive and negative heavenly cycle star formation inside. If it's positive, it will slay immortals. If it's negative, it will slay gods. Lunatic Di has been swept into this devil flag. I'm afraid he's going to be in danger. Ming suppressed the devil emperor scepter, but his expression changed drastically. He recognized the origin of the devil flag with a single glance. This devil flag was created by comprehending the stars in the Fiend celestial continent. It was refined using devil Dao methods. Not only did it contain the orthodox heavenly cycle star formation, but it also contained the negative heavenly cycle star formation. If it was reversed, it could simply slay immortals and gods. It wasn't a good thing to be swept into it. Ghost suppressing seal, suppress the emperor coffin for me. When old demon Myriad Ghost saw Di Shutian being swept into the devil flag, he was rather confident in old demon Zhai Xing. In addition, the emperor coffin was more important. Without hesitation, he quickly condensed the devil seal in his hand. He quickly struck it out. Suddenly, 9 ugly demon gods appeared above the emperor coffin. In the hands of these demon gods, there was a devil hammer that was covered with devil runes. They lifted the hammer and hammered down on the 9 ghost-suppressing nails. Dang! As the hammer hammered down, the 9 ghost-suppressing nails seemed to have received a huge boost in an instant. Suddenly, the devil light blazed. The ghost-suppressing nails that were originally 4 inches in suddenly went in another 2 inches. The strange power instantly covered the emperor coffin with devil runes. Dang! 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 With a soft sound, the ghost-suppressing nails hammered into the emperor coffin at a speed visible to the naked eye. The resistance from the emperor coffin couldn't stop the devil might at all. In the blink of an eye, the 9-inch ghost-suppressing nails had completely hammered into the emperor coffin. The nails seemed to be completely connected with the emperor coffin. In an instant, the commotion in the emperor coffin calmed down. Silence. It was so quiet that it was a little strange. In the emperor coffin, the ghost emperor of Fengdu lay quietly. The frequency of his heartbeat was astonishingly slow. On his body, traces of ghost chi were mixed with another strange power. It was as if there was an additional deathly stillness. Ha, ghost emperor, even if you have the ability to reach the heavens, you can forget about climbing out of this emperor coffin. Slowly wait for the arrival of the 5 decay of heaven and man. Under the ghost-suppressing nails, your soul will be extinguished. When old demon Myriad Ghost saw the ghost-suppressing nails hammered into the coffin, he couldn't help but laugh wildly. He took a few steps forward and arrived in front of the emperor coffin. He extended his devil claws and was about to grab the blood lamp in the coffin. He wanted to grab the ancient lamp. This was an innate spirit treasure, and a top-grade one at that. It was also a strange life lamp. The entire lamp was connected to the fate of a certain expert or even a certain race. It was a life treasure that represented the rise and fall of a race. If this blood lamp in the coffin was extinguished, then the race connected to this lamp would probably suffer a series of misfortunes. It might even be in danger of decline. It was definitely not an ordinary matter. It was of great importance. Buzz. However, just as the devil claw was about to grab the ancient lamp, the lamp trembled. Suddenly, a ball of blood flame flew out of the lamp and landed on the devil claw. With a whoosh, the devil claw was covered by the blood flame. The entire devil claw was burned to ashes at a speed visible to the naked eye. It quickly spread up and spread to the rest of the body. Not good. Old demon Myriad Ghost's face turned pale. Whoosh. At the same time, from the corner of his eye, he saw the Ghost Emperor's originally closed eyes suddenly open in the Emperor coffin. Sigh, my body hasn't been very good recently. Plus, the land of exile is an important part of the text, so I need to think carefully. It's the end of the month, so I'll find time to erupt as much as possible. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidien.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 753. The moment he opened his pitch-black eyes, two beams of cold light shot out. They were filled with boundless majesty. His body moved without any wind, and his black hair danced wildly as he stared coldly at the Myriad Ghost Demon Venerate. Ah! The moment Myriad Ghost Demon Venerable saw those eyes, he felt as though his mind was about to collapse. It was as though he had seen the most supreme existence in the demon god continent. An illusion of insignificance appeared in his heart. It was as though he was suddenly placed in a boundless ocean, and he was a broken boat in the ocean. A small wave would cause him to sink. That feeling was like looking up at a tall mountain. He could not help but retreat in horror. He almost fell down. Waves of intense pain came from his right hand, and the blood flame spread upward at an astonishing speed. Break. Myriad Ghost Demon Venerable used several methods, but he could not extinguish the blood flame. He gritted his teeth and directly cut off his right arm from the shoulder. The severed arm was burned to ashes in the blink of an eye. It was completely reduced to ashes. Grow. Seeing his arm turn to ash, old demon Myriad Ghost's face turned completely gloomy. He let out a soft cry and was about to regrow his right arm. However, strangely, there seemed to be some sort of strange power preventing him from regrowing his burned arm. Myriad Ghost Demon Venerable's face turned red, but he did not move. What a terrifying spiritual coffin blood lamp! Dark could not help but exclaim inwardly when he saw it. The spiritual coffin blood lamp was indeed the most powerful innate spiritual treasure in the world. Its power could not be judged by common sense. That crimson flame could even incinerate the body of a heavenly demon. Based on the habits of the demon gods, they had always cultivated an immortal body before cultivating. They cultivated an undying body before cultivating an undying soul. Myriad Ghost Demon Venerable's body was definitely undying, but it could not regrow after being burned. This showed how terrifying it was. If his head was burned, he would not be able to regrow it in the future. And that gourd, could it be the demon-slaying gourd refined by the demon-slaying Devil Emperor? No, that's not right. I remember that the demon-slaying gourd back then was a golden gourd, not blood red. Could it be that it's not the real deal? Could it be that a later generation obtained the refining method and refined it again? Thoughts spun rapidly in Ming's mind. At this moment, Fengdu Ghost Emperor opened his eyes and snorted coldly, "Disperse." This word was uttered with endless Emperor's might. Immediately, a ferocious and hideous demon god was forced out of his body. After the demon god was forced out, it was in a very sorry state. Furthermore, its aura was extremely weak. In the imperial coffin, it turned into a strange demonic seal and scattered. That's impossible. Even if you're a peerless expert, you're still a ghost cultivator. Your body is a ghost body. With a ghost body, you can't force the devouring ghost seal out of your body. Once the devouring ghost seal enters a ghost's body, it will take root and connect with the flesh and blood. This is the most fundamental ability of the devouring ghost clan. It's a peerless demonic art that cannot be broken by a ghost cultivator. After losing his arm, the myriad ghost demon Venerable did not have time to think anymore. He looked at the imperial coffin again and saw the ghost emperor easily forcing the devouring ghost seal out of his body. His eyes widened so much that they almost fell out. The devouring ghost seal was the bane of ghosts. Once struck, it was almost impossible to break free, let alone force it out of the body. That was simply a fantasy. It was absolutely impossible. Moreover, the seal in the ghost emperor's body was cast by the ancestor of the devouring ghost clan. Even a peerless expert could not force it out. However, the most impossible thing had happened right before his eyes. It was easy to imagine the impact this scene had on him. Ghost-suppressing nail. Fengdu Ghost Emperor glanced at the imperial coffin. His gaze grew colder and colder. He gently called out, "Spiritual coffin blood lamp, lend me a hand." It was as if he was negotiating with the spiritual coffin blood lamp on top of the imperial coffin. Buzz. The spiritual coffin blood lamp shook and suddenly sank into the imperial coffin. It directly passed through the lid of the imperial coffin and entered the coffin, landing in the hands of the ghost emperor of Fengdu. The ghost emperor casually held the lamp and raised the spiritual coffin blood lamp. Immediately, strands of blood-colored light burst out from the spiritual coffin blood lamp like a tide. In an instant, they filled the entire imperial coffin and poured into the 9 underworld dragons inside the imperial coffin. Roar. After the 9 nether dragons received the mighty power from the blood coffin lamp, the originally pitch-black nether dragons instantly turned into 9 lifelike blood dragons at a speed visible to the naked eye. The eyes of the blood dragons burst out with shocking bloody light. Boundless mighty power erupted from their bodies, causing their dragon scales to stand on end. The body that had been nailed to the ground began to struggle violently. Boundless mighty power was continuously poured into the 9 blood dragons. Immediately, the 9 ghost-suppressing nails on the imperial coffin were forced out at a speed visible to the naked eye. Impossible. Ghost-suppressing seal, suppress them for me. The myriad ghost demon Venerable's face was ashen and filled with disbelief. Without thinking, he immediately used the ghost-suppressing seal again to nail the 9 ghost-suppressing nails down. However, the 9 blood dragons turned over at the same time. Ding ding ding. Without waiting for the myriad ghost demon Venerable to use his technique, the 9 ghost-suppressing nails were forced out of the imperial coffin. Bang! The imperial coffin lid flew up and smashed directly at the myriad ghost demon Venerable. When it hit the old devil, he felt as if he was struck by lightning. His entire demonic body trembled violently, and he spat out a mouthful of demonic blood. His face was filled with disbelief. The ghost emperor of Fengdu flew up from the imperial coffin. The moment he stood upright, an invisible pressure naturally poured out and filled the entire palace. It instantly broke through the imperial palace and covered the entire 9-fold ghost valley. Rumble. The invisible pressure swept in all directions. Wherever it went, even space was distorted irregularly. In the sky above Fengdu Necropolis, countless strands of nether ghost chi gathered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, it formed a dense cloud of ghosts. Within the ghost cloud, terrifying lightning bolts danced wildly like silver snakes. It looked abnormally terrifying. The water in the nether river surged violently. The undercurrents collided and stirred up violent waves, emitting a strange power. Strange vortexes appeared in the nether river. Those vortexes were connected to some unknown place. Countless souls were swallowed and thrown out by the vortexes. Ghost bodies condensed in the nether river and turned into malicious ghosts. The originally quiet nether river was suddenly filled with countless malicious ghosts. An invisible pressure filled every inch of the field. Even the netherworld ghost chi exuded an invisible joy as if it was welcoming the arrival of the ghost emperor. That oppressive might was extremely powerful. The air was suffocating. Outside Fengdu City, billions of demonic beasts were pressed to the ground. In the city, countless ghosts felt a kind of pressure from their souls. They couldn't help but kneel in the direction of the imperial palace. Even the fierce fighting outside the city stopped in an instant. Your Majesty has awakened. This is Your Majesty's aura. The iron-faced judge's eyes were filled with excitement as he couldn't help but mutter to himself. Not good, the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu has awakened. Old Demon Myriad Ghost and Old Demon Zhai Xing are most likely dead. The Dragon Devil Crown Prince's expression changed drastically as he felt the pressure that filled the world. Without even thinking, he immediately ordered, Demonic City Army, retreat from the Ghost Valley immediately. The Ghost Valley was formed by the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu's 100 Ghosts parade diagram. It was fine if the Ghost Emperor didn't awaken, but once he did, wouldn't he be walking into a trap in the Ghost Valley? This wasn't the way to court death. Retreating decisively was a sign of foresight. No, I don't believe that you'll be fine. Under the ghost-suppressing nail and the ghost-devouring seal, it's impossible for you to come out unscathed. You must be strong on the outside but weak on the inside. Today, I, Myriad Ghost, will go against the heavens and slaughter you, the Ghost Emperor. Myriad Ghost's demonic hair danced wildly. His eyes were filled with unwillingness and even despair. However, he knew that the Ghost Emperor had just awakened. Even if the ghost-devouring seal was forced out, it was impossible for him to completely recover his peerless strength. Perhaps, this was the moment when he was at his weakest. Demonic God aspect, ghost-suppressing great demonic God. Ghost-suppressing demonic eyes. The demonic body shook, and a huge and ugly demonic god appeared behind Myriad Ghost. The demonic god emitted a supreme will that could suppress billions of ghosts. In front of this will, any ghost cultivator would be greatly deterred. Some ghosts would probably be completely scared out of their wits just by feeling this will. Swish, swish, swish. In front of Myriad Ghost's demonic body, 2,000 demonic eyes opened at the same time. The demonic god's supreme ghost-suppressing will poured into these eyes. In an instant, the demonic eyes glowed with a strange light. In an instant, 2,000 rays of light shot out, sealing off all of Fengdu Ghost Emperor's escape routes. The demonic light contained the supreme ghost-suppressing will and burst forth with boundless demonic might. The Ghost Emperor glanced at Devil Sovereign all ghosts and calmly said, "If your ancestor were here, I might be able to say something like that. As for you, killing you would only dirty my hands. Break." Finally, he casually said the word break. Immediately, a formless sound wave spread toward the Myriad Ghost Demon exalted with him as the center. Wherever it passed, the space distorted at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the sound wave appeared in front of Myriad Ghost, blood flowed out of his nose, mouth, eyes, and ears. His eyes were crumbling. As soon as the sound wave came, his entire demonic body was ground to dust. Only a few words of disbelief remained, wrath of the ghost god. This one word instantly shattered his demonic soul. His life force was cut off. He didn't even move his hands. He only shouted. He took the sky demon's life. That was not a cultivation base, but a supreme will that directly destroyed his demonic soul. A supreme expert was a supreme expert after all. Moreover, this was the Ghost Emperor, a supreme existence. With just a thought, he could destroy the world. No matter how weak he was definitely not someone a mere sky demon could provoke. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidien.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 754. Wrath of the Ghost God, the supreme technique of the Ghost Dao's sound wave. Together with the Ghost Emperor's supreme will, there was simply a supreme force that could cause the heavens and earth to collapse. That will belonged to the peak of the unparalleled expert. How could it be resisted by the myriad ghost old devil's peak early sky demon devil soul? In an instant, his divine soul was shattered and he died with blood flowing out from his 7 orifices. How could an unparalleled expert be humiliated so easily? The prestige of the Ghost Emperor was even more inviolable. Anyone who offended him would be killed. Myriad ghost old devil. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Ever since the Ghost Emperor broke the 9-dragon emperor coffin, it had only been a few breaths' time and a sky demon had fallen. When old devil Zhai Xing saw this scene, he was simply horrified to the point that his liver and guts were about to be torn apart. Fear immediately emerged in his heart. The thought of escaping surfaced in his mind. The reason why he dared to come here was because he discovered that the Ghost Emperor of Fengju was in a deep slumber in the 9-dragon emperor coffin. With the ghost-devouring seal and the ghost-suppressing nail in his hand, he was confident that he could completely seal the 9-dragon emperor coffin. However, he never expected that the situation would change one after another. Not only was the ghost-devouring seal forced out, but it was also the ghost-devouring seal that was mysteriously forced out. Moreover, the Ghost Emperor had awakened and killed the myriad ghost old devil with his supreme will in an instant. This terrifying scene disintegrated all the fighting spirit in his heart. What a joke! Even if he were to fight with the awakened Ghost Emperor of Fengju, it would be much better than courting death. Escape. This thought suddenly appeared in old devil Zhai Xing's mind. Star immortal slaying flag, reverse the universe, reverse the void, great starry sky teleportation. Old demon Zhai Xing did not hesitate. He unfurled the demonic flag in his hand. With a whoosh, it suddenly wrapped his entire demonic body within the demonic flag. Around the demonic flag, a starry sky scene of billions of stars shrunk by an unknown number of times appeared. When the ancient starry sky was displayed, the billions of stars in the starry sky shot out boundless starlight. Within the starry sky, a distorted scene appeared. Great starry sky teleportation. When executed to the extreme, one could instantly appear at the other end of the starry sky. It could traverse the starry sky and appear 1,000,000 miles away in an instant. It was a peerless secret ability that allowed one to traverse the void. The space twisted at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the star immortal exterminating banner inside seemed to be about to escape. However, at the moment before the great teleportation of the starry sky was activated. Heavenly punishment, divine eye, annihilation. A voice that was like the might of the heavens emerged from the star immortal exterminating banner without any warning. That voice seemed to have come from the underworld. It carried with it a vast and awe-inspiring power. Rumble. As his voice fell, the entire star immortal vanquishing banner seemed to have suffered a severe blow. The stars on the banner's surface rapidly dimmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then, a purple-gold divine light burst out of the demonic flag and tore a crack in it. Not good. Damn it. Star Plucker old demon's face was filled with disgust as if he had eaten a fly. He couldn't help but curse. Monster, you really are a monster. Why did you have to create trouble for me at this time? It's over. It's really over this time. His two eyes turned completely red. The originally distorted space suddenly stopped. The great teleportation of the starry sky stopped. Looking at the star immortal exterminating banner, a pitch-black hole appeared on the banner. Catcher. In the banner, a golden saber light flashed. Then, a figure burst out from the banner. Monster, it's you. How dare you spoil my plans? Today, even if I have to risk my life, I will take your heart. When Star Plucker old demon saw Di Shitian burst out from the star immortal exterminating banner, his eyes turned red. He was so furious that he was about to spit fire. Even his nose was crooked from anger. His right hand instantly reached out. The strange thing was that the demonic hand didn't reach out to Di Shitian. Instead, it reached out to a fist-sized luminous pearl that was embedded in the palace. Star-plucking hand, stealing the sky, exchanging the sun. In an instant, Di Shitian felt as if his heart was bound by a strange power. It burst out of his body silently. In an instant, he didn't even have the chance to react. He only felt that his body was empty and tight. In the blink of an eye, a purple gold heart appeared in Star Plucker old demon's hand. In his chest, a fist-sized luminous pearl strangely replaced the position of his heart. Stealing the sky and swapping the sun. It was indeed stealing the sky and swapping the sun. Even his heart could be stolen in an instant and replaced with a luminous pearl. Most importantly, Even Di Shitian himself couldn't detect the profoundness of this replacement. It was truly an inconceivable and unparalleled ability. Watch how I crush your heart. Star Plucker Old Demon's expression was incomparably cold. The moment Di Shitian broke out from the Star Immortal exterminating banner, he had already sunk into a state of despair. The moment he made his move, it was as if he wanted to drag someone down with him before he died. The corner of his mouth curled into a ferocious expression. His right hand grabbed the heart. Waves of demonic light were emitted as he clenched down. This clench was enough to crush even godly metal. You want to crush my heart? You're really delusional. You want to die. I can't believe you stole my heart. Don't you know that my demon mansion is where my nascent divinity resides? It's where my nascent divinity resides, and it's tempered with boundless true power. In my entire body, my heart is the most powerful. Di Shitian's heart turned cold. He was furious. Even his heart was stolen. This was simply something that had never happened before. It was hard for him not to be furious. Dragons had reverse scales. Those who touched it would die. A tiger's but couldn't be touched, let alone its heart. Dang. Di Shitian's heart was entirely purple gold in color. Countless mysterious purple gold patterns appeared on it as though it was a natural Dao pattern. Even if it was plucked away, it was still pulsating vigorously. When Star Plucker Old Demons clenched down on it, there was actually a sound of metal clashing. However, the heart wasn't damaged at all. The Dao patterns on it seemed as though they were alive. Inside, there was a rare heaven-tier demon residence in the world. Black Lotus Primordial Spirit. Di Shitian roared coldly. Instantly, the purple gold heart throbbed violently. Billions of pitch-black divine lights burst out. A 10th grade Black Lotus instantly appeared. The moment it appeared, it suddenly became incomparably huge. Within the Black Lotus, a vast pressure swept out in all directions like a tide. On the 10th grade Black Lotus, one could see pitch-black lotus seeds embedded on it. However, at this moment, they burst out with billions of divine lights. Within the lotus seeds, there were countless strange heavenly sounds. There was the sorrowful roar of gods and demons. There was the fury of an emperor. There was the loud roar of Dao Tai. There was the boundless Brahmin of bliss. Within the Black Lotus, almost all of the royal true force was completely unleashed at this moment. It crazily surged into the 8 lotus seeds on the Black Lotus. Wong wong wong. Instantly, 4 mystical ancient seals condensed from the lotus seeds and rushed out. Gods and Demons Seal, Emperor Seal, Dao Tai Seal, and Brahmin Seal. Every ancient seal emitted an unparalleled might that suppressed the surroundings. Under the situation where no one cared about the price, the royal true force that was condensed within had reached an inestimable level. Not a single trace was left within the Black Lotus. All of it was poured in. Every one of them caused the surrounding space to distort. Every one of them was powerful enough to crush an ancient demon saint to dust. Boom boom boom. The 4 ancient seals appeared in front of old demon Zhai Xing, not allowing him to dodge at all. He could only use the Star Immortal exterminating flag to block in front of him. The 4 ancient seals smashed onto his body ferociously. 3,000 gods and demons prayed. Countless Buddhas chanted the Brahmin of bliss. It was the tyranny of an emperor and the strangeness of Dao Tai. At the same time, it smashed onto old demon Zhai Xing poof. Almost on the spot, old demon Zhai Xing felt as though he was struck by lightning. He trembled violently and spat out a mouthful of devil blood. His entire devil body flew out. He was heavily injured on the spot. Come back. With a soft shout, the purple gold heart instantly turned into a stream of light and returned to his body. At the same time, the 10th tier Black Lotus flew into the sky and expanded to a size of 10 feet. It flickered with resplendent divine light and pressed down on old demon Zhai Xing's body. It was as though millions of mountains were pressing down on him. Catcher. The crisp sound of bones breaking echoed in the air. His devil body was heavily injured by the Black Lotus. The Black Lotus pressed down on old demon Zhai Xing's body and spun like a huge grindstone. As it spun, It wanted to crush old demon Zhai Xing into dust. At the same time, incantations appeared on the Black Lotus. Heaven wound, soul devouring, withering glory, heaven blind, tarsal bone, petrification, decay, slow, blood collapse, gold transformation, divine wound, ice, heaven lock, God bind, heaven ugliner. 15 incantations erupted with might. At the same time, incantation projections were shot out and landed on old demon Zhai Xing's body. Ah! Monster! How is this possible? You're just an ancient demon sage. How can you have such battle prowess? I don't believe it. This isn't real. Incantations. How do you know incantations? Could it be that you're one of those damned conjurers? My eyes. Ah! My divine soul. Old demon Zhai Xing, who was about to unleash his might, was struck with misfortune. His entire body was covered by a myriad of colors. First, his eyes were blinded. Even his divine sense was unable to observe the situation outside. His divine soul was entangled by the incantations and was constantly corroding it. A terrifying pain was emitted from his soul. The surface of his skin began to stiffen and turn grayish-white, turning into stone. His blood began to explode violently. Streams of blood spurted out from his body. His entire body began to freeze. His cultivation base was strangely sealed and was dissipating bit by bit. Even his appearance began to become abnormally ugly. In an instant, 15 incantations were unleashed at the same time. The power was so strong that even a sky demon like old demon Zhai Xing couldn't withstand it. Divine Eye of Heavenly Punishment, capture old demon Zhai Xing and suppress the infernal prison. Di Shitian retracted his Black Lotus nascent divinity and opened his divine eye. A beam of divine light shot out and enveloped old demon Zhai Xing. Surrounded by all kinds of incantations, old demon Zhai Xing didn't have the slightest ability to resist. He was directly sucked into the infernal prison. Within the infernal prison, the karma mirror flew up and suppressed old demon Zhai Xing. This old demon Zhai Xing's devil arts were quite impressive. Especially that star-plucking hand, which could even pluck away his heart. Di Shitian had to force him to speak. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 755. Haha, good, good, good. Those Cursemancer's tricks are really weird. Even old demon Zhai Xing fell for it. This is great. Since the ancient era, I have not tried to interrogate a demon god for many years. This time, let's see if I don't use all kinds of torture methods to force out all the information in this old devil's stomach. After seeing that old demon Zhai Xing was suppressed, Ming, who had been suppressing the demon emperor scepter, became excited. He roared and returned to the heaven punishment divine eye with the seal mirror. He first threw the seal mirror into his inner world and it was suppressed by the saint spiritual altar. Then, he returned to the infernal purgatory and started tormenting old demon Zhai Xing. After the ghost emperor of Fengju killed the 1,000 ghost demon master, he planned to rescue Di Shitian from the star's celestial eradication flag. However, he did not expect that Di Shitian would break out of the flag by himself. He saw the series of unforeseen events. However, after seeing that there wasn't much danger, he didn't really take action. He just watched from the side. Seeing how Sakura suppressed old demon Zhai Xing in one move, he couldn't help but nod his head slightly and said, "What a great shifter, Emperor Sakura. The demon race is indeed filled with outstanding talents. To be able to suppress an early heavenly devil demon god with your early ancient demon sage realm cultivation base, even in the ancient demon sage realm. With such combat strength, even in the ancient demon race, you would also be considered a hero among the demon race." He was not stingy with his compliments. The scene earlier was still vivid in his mind. The shock in his heart was something that he rarely felt in his life. Don't think that he didn't feel anything when he was in the emperor coffin. He was very clear about the scene in the hall. First, it was the extreme emperor immortal body that made the heavens and earth grieve. Then, it was the saber battle technique that could go against Sky Demon, the destructive annihilation divine light, the terrifying eye technique, the heaven-grade demon mansion, and the weird black lotus that he cultivated. His power was really strong. Then, it was the shocking cultivation of incantation. The incantation was the weirdest technique in the world. Any one of these could be said to be one of his trump cards. However, it was happening to Di Shitian at the same time. Even the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu couldn't help but be curious about such a scene. Junior Di Shitian greets the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu. After suppressing old demon Zhai Xing, Di Shitian heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu and bowed slightly. He didn't feel forced to bow to the Ghost Emperor. There's no need to be so courteous. If you hadn't bought time for me to use this coffin blood lamp to transform my physique into the ghost demon physique, I'm afraid I would have been killed by this group of demon bastards. Fengdu Ghost Emperor was extremely gentle towards Di Shitian. He only glanced at the 9 ghost-suppressing nails on the ground and said, "Even the ghost-suppressing nails are here. This group of devil brats really think highly of me." Ghost demon physique. Di Shitian's mind was instantly filled with this word. He was enlightened. Although he didn't know what kind of physique it was, he could guess that the reason why the Ghost Emperor could force the ghost-devouring seal out of his body and not be restrained by the ghost-suppressing nails was definitely related to this strange physique. I'm lucky to say that. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to escape the attack of the Celestial Decay 5. Don't call me senior. If you don't mind, just call me Big Brother. The Ghost Emperor of Fengdu knew how dangerous it was just now. If Di Shitian hadn't bought time, the situation before him would have changed. Looking at Di Shitian, he found him indescribably pleasing to the eye. This, Di Shitian couldn't help but be stunned. Although he had heard from Ming that the Ghost Emperor was an expert with a genuine temperament. However, he didn't expect that the Ghost Emperor didn't care about the difference in their identities and cultivation and wanted to call him brother. Obviously, this was the Ghost Emperor's invisible gratitude. Even in ancient times, as long as the Ghost Emperor spread the news and said that he wanted to be brother with someone, this line would probably stretch to who knows where. Crazy Emperor, why are you in a daze? Getting involved with the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu and becoming brother is something that will greatly benefit you in the future. This is a living backer in front of you. When Ming heard this, his eyes widened and he hurriedly urged, "Why? Are you unwilling or are you looking down on an old antique like me?" The Ghost Emperor of Fengdu said with a faint smile. "What are you saying?" When Di Shitian heard this, he hurriedly shook his head and said, "Since you don't mind, then I'll recognize you as my big brother." He was a monster who wasn't afraid of anything. If the heavens wanted to kill him, he would even dare to poke a hole in the sky. Since even the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu didn't care, what was there to hesitate about? Immediately, he bowed respectfully and said, "Di Shitian greets Big Brother." "Good. Good brother." The Ghost Emperor of Fengdu revealed a smile from the bottom of his heart and nodded. He said, "Today, Big Brother has something to deal with here. I've just forced out the ghost-devouring seal, and it has caused a lot of damage to my body. I'm afraid we won't be able to have a good talk today. In 3 months, come to my Fengdu city again and I'll apologize to you." However, there was no mention of the word thank you in his words. This sentence was said casually, but in Di Shitian's ears, it sounded more natural than any false promise. This was really treating him as a brother on the spot. Since they were brothers, there was no need to thank him verbally. In that case, Shitian will come and nag again in 3 months. Di Shitian smiled indifferently. However, the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu sighed softly at the blood lamp in the coffin in his hand and said, "Back then, your master temporarily lent you to me when I was in trouble so that I could cultivate the ghost demon body and escape from my predicament. Now, it's time for you to return to your master's side. Please tell him that I, Fengdu, will remember the kindness back then. If there is a day, I will definitely repay you. Go." Buzz. The blood lamp in the coffin seemed to be psychic. It flew up from the hands of the Ghost Emperor of Fengdu. The lamp shook and let out a buzzing sound. Suddenly, It appeared in front of Di Shitian and circled him a few times. It seemed to be hesitating about something. After a pause, crash, the ancient lamp shook, and suddenly, a crack appeared out of thin air. Immediately after, the blood lamp in the coffin instantly entered the crack and crossed the void in the blink of an eye. That crack quickly disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. A moment later, Di Shitian turned around and left Fengju City. Along the way, he left the Ghost Valley. Unlike when he entered, since the Ghost Emperor of Fengju woke up, the entire Ghost Valley instantly changed completely. Countless fierce ghosts were everywhere, wandering wantonly in various spaces. The original demon army of Fengju was also completely withdrawn at once. Not even half a trace of them could be seen. The deterrent power of the Ghost Emperor was really not ordinary. After leaving the Ghost Valley, Di Shitian couldn't help but let out a long breath. His mind quickly recalled the things that he had experienced during this period of time. He couldn't help but exclaim secretly. It could be said that this trip was not in vain. Not to mention that he had become friends with the Ghost Emperor of Fengju despite the difference in age. He had also obtained many benefits. The Demon Emperor Scepter of the Thousand Ghosts Demon Venerable could be said to be a top-notch treasure. However, he was too embarrassed to take away the other demon-slaying gourd from the Thousand Ghosts Demon Venerable in front of the Ghost Emperor. He could tell at a glance that the power of the gourd was not inferior to the immortal slaying gourd in the legends of his previous life. In addition, the stars-plucking old demon was suppressed in the nether prison. The star's immortal slaying flag was also in his hands. Although this flag wasn't a supreme treasure, it was also extremely powerful among the treasures. In terms of grade, it was at least at the level of a postnatal superior spiritual treasure, which was also a superior treasure. It was just a little bit away from being a supreme treasure. However, it was also a rare treasure. It could be used as a magic treasure and also as a demon weapon. In addition to the devil technique of the old demon, it would be another huge harvest if he could force the information out of him. However, he didn't have the time to harvest the resurrection grass. Walking in the forest, Di Shitian thought to himself, forget it. As for the resurrection grass, I can just ask Big Brother Fengju for a few stalks. However, now that I have Big Brother as my backing, I can be considered to have gained a firm foothold in the land of exile. In his heart, he started to think about the gains and losses this time. In the end, he still had a huge harvest. Moreover, the loss of the Thousand Ghosts Demon Venerable and the stars-plucking old demon could weaken the overall strength of Demonic City. After all, these were two experts of the Sky Demon level who could oversee a region. The most crucial point was that the stars-plucking old demon seemed to have a great enmity with the blood-devouring old demon. There was the hatred of killing his wife. After forcing the stars-plucking old demon out of him, he could hand the stars-plucking old demon over to the blood-devouring old demon. It might be another great method to deepen the blood-devouring old demon's loyalty. After saving his wife and taking revenge for him, how could he not be loyal to the blood-devouring old demon venerable? That's right. Ming, what is the origin of the coffin blood lamp? Which race's life treasure is it? He suddenly thought of the coffin blood lamp and immediately asked. He was already sure that the lamp was definitely one of the 9 ancient lamps. The Netherworld Ghost Lamp was the most precious treasure of the Ghost Clan, and the ancient suppressing demonic lamp was the most precious treasure of the Demon Clan. However, he couldn't tell the origin of the coffin blood lamp. It's actually not difficult to know about the coffin blood lamp. It's the most precious treasure of the zombie clan. It was born from the resentment and viciousness of the world. It's connected to the destiny of the zombie clan. This kind of life treasure will only recognize the experts of its own race. It's impossible for other races to truly unleash its supreme power. Ming indeed knew the origin of the coffin blood lamp. He opened his mouth and said, "Just now, that lamp broke through the sky and flew away. It must have returned to its owner. Speaking of which, the ancient suppressing demonic lamp was the most suitable for you. That's the most precious treasure of the demon clan. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be fated with you." He was still a little brooding about the ancient suppressing demonic lamp flying away. The coffin blood lamp. This is already the third lamp. It seems that the world has indeed entered a great era of change, Di Shitian said thoughtfully. He didn't think too much about the ancient suppressing demonic lamp. Since it was the most precious treasure of the demon clan, the person who was fated with it would definitely be the elites of the demon clan. It was the demon clan's strength that was strengthened. He didn't have any thoughts of being jealous of the virtuous. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 756. Big Brother Fengju and I agreed to meet again in 3 months. In these 3 months, I can't be idle. There are too many things I need to do. The poison in Kong Wu's body must be removed as soon as possible. Otherwise, even with the seed of life, his essence will be exhausted. I must make the myriad poisons dragonworm wine as soon as possible. The soul-returning wine is needed for the blood Ganoderma to be reborn. Furthermore, his mother was still afflicted with a mysterious poison. Although she was protected by the source of life and her life force was endless, the poison was corrosive to the soul. Even if she used the power of the instant every day to prevent time from passing, it was hard to guarantee that the poison would not change. I heard that the 9-headed poison dragon emperor of the Myriad Poisons Valley has 9 heads. Each head represents a terrifying poison, and one of them is a poison that corrodes the spirit. If I can kill it and take its poison core, I can use the 9 poison cores as the main ingredient to brew the Myriad Poisons dragonworm wine. It will definitely be able to remove any poison in the world. Perhaps Mother's poison can also be cured. Di Shitian's mind raced. He had not dared to make any rash moves because of the poison in White Tiger's mother. It was precisely because this type of poison that affected one's soul was truly a poison among poisons. If one wasn't careful, they could die at any time. At that time, even he had no choice but to temporarily seal the White Tiger's mother, using the power of an instant to prevent time from affecting her. However, that was not a long-term solution. In the land of exile, he saw a glimmer of hope. And little brother. I still don't know where the Thousand Beasts sect took him. I have to find a way to find him. Mother-in-law Yarrow sealed herself. I still have to find precious immortal jades and divine jades to help her break the seal. Strength. This time in the land of exile, I have to raise my strength as much as possible. The carnate vital energy here will be of great help to my cultivation. I have to make good use of it. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. Although there were many things he had never mentioned, they were all deeply imprinted in his heart. Although he had gained a lot from the trip to the Haunted Valley and had gained the Fengju Ghost Emperor's favor, external help was still external. He could not borrow it forever. Only when his own strength was strong could he be truly powerful. Quickly traversing the forest. 3 days later. Returning to Sky Pillar City. In the City Lord Manor, Di Shitian sat in the main hall. Below him, the supervisor beast guards and the generals of the 4 armies were all present. Senior Demon Guard, Bai Yu, Rat Boss, Azure Dragon Legion, Kai Hua, Dragon Snake Clans Shui Ling Dragon Horse Clans Long Yu. White Tiger Corps, Southern Barbarian Yuan Zhon, Lion Clans Shishi Tian, Kuei Cow Clans Kuei Cow. Vermilion Bird Corps, Ying Kong, Jin Xian of the Great Eagle Race. Xuanwu Army, Xiong Ba of the Bear Tribe. There was also the newly established Shadow Squad, Assassin Emperor. Military Governor, Shura Kill, the Peacock Goddess. In the land of exile, all the important generals under Di Shitian appeared in the hall. There were a total of 14 of them. Among them, almost all of the 1,000 Demon Cities Taoists were at the peak of the 7th refinement stage. In less than a month's time, they would probably make consecutive breakthroughs. As for the Assassin Emperor and Azura Kill, their cultivation bases were at the middle stage of the ancient demonic sage realm, while the Celestial Peacock Maiden was at the peak of the ancient demonic sage realm. Greetings, Your Majesty. All the generals bowed respectfully to Di Shitian. Di Shitian gestured for them to stand up and looked at the hall with a dignified expression. He said in a deep voice, "Shura Kill, how is the situation with the military governor?" The head of the military governor guard was responsible for the training of the demon army. The newly arrived demons who wanted to join the demon army of the 1,000-demon city were trained and integrated. They honed discipline, trained in battle techniques and military formations, and trained the undisciplined demons into well-disciplined, elite demon soldiers. Ever since the establishment of the military governor guard, no demon could directly join the army. They had to pass the training of the military governor guard before they could join the various armies. Once they joined the army, they would be able to produce combat strength. Hearing this, Shura Kill took a step forward and said coldly, reporting to the demon emperor, "Since the establishment of the military governor's guard, a total of 1,100 demons have been recruited and are currently undergoing training. They are all at the peak of the 9th refinement stage and will be able to form an army in 3 months. These were all demons who came from the 100 Mountains tribe. They had survived life and death in the land of exile, so their combat strength was naturally ferocious. One had to know that Di Shitian had ordered that all those who joined the army would receive 100 longevity pills every month. Not only could they replenish their lifespan, but they could also use the remaining longevity pills to increase their strength. This kind of treatment was an unimaginable temptation in the land of exile. After thinking about it, many demons joined. 1,100, that was 1,100 big ancient demons. Good. General Shura, you have worked hard. Soon, there will be a large number of demons crossing the void and coming here. They are the future seeds of our demon race. When the time comes, I will hand them all over to you to train 100 battle demon army for our demon race." Di Shitian nodded and praised. "Kai Hua, Ying Kong, Yuan Zhon, Xiong Ba. Your subordinate is here. You will lead the army. Each soldier will enter the gathering place of ancient demon king level ferocious beasts near Sky Pillar City on their own. Undergo life and death training. Hone your battle skills in the midst of life and death. If you don't break through to the 7th transformation realm, the ancient great demon realm, you will not stop. Collect the blood and flesh of the ferocious beasts and create a blood pool in the city. Obey the demon emperor's decree. Rat boss, immediately mobilize all the scouts to search the land of exile for all the poisonous creatures, beasts, and precious spirit items. Post a bounty in the Jubao court to buy them. Use the longevity pills as the reward." Di Shitian ordered again. Yes, this subordinate will definitely do it. Rat Boss's eyes lit up as he answered excitedly. The celestial peacock maiden, who had been standing at the side, heard this and couldn't help but tremble. She raised her head and looked at Di Shitian, who was sitting in the middle of the hall, with a look of excitement and gratitude in her eyes. She was excited in her heart. Big brother can be saved. She had heard of Di Shitian's detoxification method, and the spirit wine was called Myriad Poison's Dragonsnake Wine. Collecting the poisonous creatures was obviously for the sake of brewing the spirit wine. At this moment, her gratitude towards Di Shitian was without the slightest bit of impurity. She truly knew that he really did care about her elder brother's matter. Seeing this, the assassin emperor and Azura Shaw's eyes shone with a strange light. They couldn't help but lean slightly towards Di Shitian. "Bai Yu, Peacock Maiden, stay here. The rest of you, disperse. Do what I ordered as soon as possible." "Yes." After answering in unison, the group of soldiers quickly left. Looks like I have to summon the Nightmare King as soon as possible." Di Shitian thought to himself. He didn't want to be tied down by trivial matters. Cultivating and increasing his strength was the most important thing. Looking at the celestial peacock maiden and Bai Yu in the hall, he waved his hand and they disappeared into his inner world in the blink of an eye. "Bai Yu, here are 100,000 longevity pills. With these pills, you should be able to cultivate to the ancient great demon sage realm. Don't let down Ai's efforts. You are in charge of the great demon guard and supervise the 10,000 demon codex. You have a heavy responsibility. Without a strong battle strength, how can you intimidate the demons? In the inner world, There were tens of thousands of Monster Clan equipment refiners, tens of thousands of Monster Clan alchemists, and the group of Ape Clan winemakers led by Yuan Tian. Altogether, there were no less than 60 to 70,000 Monster Clan members who were busy refining divine weapons, pills, and spirit wine with various materials collected from the land of exile. At every moment, large batches of divine weapons were being refined. Pill furnaces trembled, and hundreds of thousands of pills shot out like fountains. They were quickly collected by the pill boys in jade boxes. In front of the wine brewing ponds, large groups of apes were happily stirring with specially made sticks, making it easier for the ingredients to blend into the wine. "Thank you for your reward, Your Majesty." Bai Yu looked at Di Shitian with teary eyes. All this time, he had seen everything. No matter how many talented generals and experts His Majesty had obtained, His Majesty had never given up on these old subjects who had followed him since Tiger Hill mountain range. Even if they weren't as talented as the elites of the demon race, His Majesty had often rewarded them with pills and spirit wine, so that they wouldn't lose out to any of the elites in cultivation. And now, he had been rewarded with 100,000 longevity pills. How could he not be willing to die for His Majesty? "All right, I won't mistreat the old brothers who followed I back then." Di Shitian nodded and smiled faintly. The celestial peacock maiden went directly to her brother's ice coffin and stood guard while cultivating in silence. Di Shitian finished dealing with many trivial matters. He entered a palace built in his inner world. Inside the palace, he saw a sparkling and translucent imperial jade archive spinning in the air. Inside the jade disk, innate talismans of laws could be seen spinning and spinning. Almost all of these law talismans were damaged to varying degrees. There were more than 300 of them. The heavenly melody of the great Tao sounded from the jade disk. Under this heavenly melody, it seemed to emit the rhythm of the great Tao. It made one's mind feel infinitely closer to the great Tao of heaven and earth. Each talisman contained a mystical cultivation method that flowed into one's mind along with the heavenly melody. Whoosh! Di Shitian waved his hand and thousands of law fragments appeared in front of him. In an instant, these fragments fell into the Imperial Jade Archive at the same time. Under the mystical power of the Jade Archive, the thousands of law fragments merged into the original 300 or so talismans, making the damaged talismans more complete. Or they directly transformed into talismans of the Great Tao. They merged into the Imperial Jade Archive. In the blink of an eye, the number of talismans in the Imperial Jade Archive had increased to 530. Around the jade disk, celestial music sounded faintly, and fairies and witches danced. The heavenly melody of the great Tao that reverberated from the Jade Archive became clearer and more profound. The Imperial Jade Archive floated in the air. Below the Jade Archive was a purple futon. Di Shitian sat on the futon, and the heavenly melody of the great Tao in the Jade Archive transformed into threads of jade light that slowly fell down. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com and read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 757. Cultivating under the great Tao heavenly melody would yield twice the results with half the effort. In terms of cultivation, it was simply the dream of any expert. Not to mention, in the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, there were countless cultivation techniques derived from the great Tao contained in the 530 great Tao talismans. Each and every one of them was extraordinary. Especially the first 300 or so talismans, Ming had imprinted cultivation techniques that were compatible with the 300 or so great Tao talismans. Those great Tao talismans were obviously much more complete. Let's take a look at these two treasures first. Di Shitian sat on the futon. With a thought, the snow-white ceiling mirror instantly appeared in front of him. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying crashing sounds came from the ceiling mirror. Every time there was a crash, the divine light on the ceiling mirror would become much dimmer. Di Shitian saw the scene in the ceiling mirror clearly with his mind. Naturally, he saw that in the ceiling mirror, the pitch-black demonic emperor scepter with a skull inlaid on it was fiercely attacking the ceiling space. The ceiling space was distorted beyond recognition by the demonic emperor scepter, as if it would shatter at any time. One could vaguely see that there was a dark green demonic fire shining in the eyes of the skull, as if it had a consciousness. There was obviously a powerful weapon spirit in this demonic treasure. Humph, let me out quickly, or I'll break your *T ceiling treasure. The skull on the demon emperor scepter suddenly opened its mouth and let out a strange squawk. The voice was filled with a demonic chi. It was unusually arrogant. A purple light flashed between Di Shitian's eyebrows, and the power of Delusion Breaker was activated. He instantly saw through the demonic emperor scepter. In the skull, there was a huge skeleton demon god, wearing bone armor. This demon god exuded an arrogant and unruly aura. It was ferocious, and its whole body exuded the aura of a supreme demon emperor. Faintly, there were netherworld demonic dragons circling around it. It carried the supreme will of an emperor. An emperor, the pinnacle of power. This scepter represented the authority of an emperor. Humph. What use do I have for I if you are so unruly? I'll send you into Huang Quan's holy river and cleanse all your memories and emperor's will, condensing them into law fragments. Get in. When Di Shitian saw the demon emperor scepter, he made a decision without hesitation. He stretched out his hand and waved it in front of him. Suddenly, a dark vortex appeared in front of him. In the vortex, he could see the scene in Nether Prison. As the vortex appeared, his right hand reached into the sealed mirror and grabbed the demon emperor scepter. Without even looking at it, he tossed it into the vortex. Pater. The demon emperor scepter passed through the vortex. Before he could see what was going on, a blood-red dragon claw slapped it into the green waters of the Huang Quan Holy River. TSK, let's see how I'll deal with a little artifact spirit like you. I'll give you a bowl of unruffled water first. Nether shouted and waved his hand. He refined a ball of green unruffled water from the Huang Quan Holy River and poured it into the demon emperor scepter. At the same time, he smiled and said, Crazy Di, leave this guy to me. I know you want the Emperor's will in this artifact spirit to condense the great Tao talisman of the Emperor's will. Leave it to me. Throw that demonic flag down too. Let me give it a bath and erase its memory. That way, it won't be naughty anymore. Ming was simply like a flock of ducks when it came to all of this. She was born to be a jailer, and she was extremely skilled in all sorts of interrogation techniques and methods of punishment. That's right. Then, he would torture Ao Chen and force him to tell him the cultivation technique. Since the Heavenly Sword Valley could be ranked among the top 10 immortal sects, their Green Lotus Sword Song must have its own uniqueness. I want to use their cultivation method to cultivate a group of powerful sword guards. It just so happens that the Green Phoenix sword guards lack a sword art. When Di Shitian heard Nether's words, he directly threw the seal mirror into the whirlpool and into the Nether prison. He said, as a direct disciple of one of the top 10 immortal sects, he must have received a true inheritance. Be careful of the restriction in his divine soul. Don't activate the restriction when you interrogate him and destroy his divine soul. Some major sects would often place restrictions on their important direct disciples to prevent the sect's cultivation method from being leaked. Once they were interrogated, their divine soul would be destroyed the moment they revealed the cultivation method. Not a single bit of it could be leaked. Even ordinary sects had their own methods, let alone the top 10 immortal sects. Don't worry. I, Nether, have been doing this since ancient times. I have plenty of ways to dig out cultivation methods. It won't be long before I deliver the Green Lotus Sword Song to you. Nether licked his lips and let out a chilling laugh. 3 days later, Di Shitian sat cross-legged in a quiet room in the City Lord Mansion. In the quiet room, the Supreme Emperor Jade Archive was spinning above his head. The heavenly music of the great Tao constantly filled every inch of the quiet room. He held the star's immortal slaying flag in his hand. Looking at the appearance of the stars in the sky on the flag, he couldn't help but reveal a faint smile. He cut his index finger, and wisps of purple gold essence blood quickly flowed out. At the same time, he quickly drew out strange talismans and quickly landed on the star's immortal slaying flag. He softly shouted, "Universe cycle, reverse the starry sky." Whoosh. After the star's immortal slaying flag received the seal, it immediately glowed with a strange demonic light. The entire flag moved without any wind, and with a whoosh, it instantly rolled toward Di Shitian and into the demonic flag. Inside the demonic flag was a boundless starry sky. Inside, countless stars were constantly moving in their own strange trajectories. The vast power of the stars wandered in every inch of the starry sky. At a glance, one couldn't see the end of the starry sky. Suddenly, Di Shitian's figure appeared in this boundless starry sky. He directly sat in the starry sky, looking at the scene outside and the power of the stars that filled the surroundings. He couldn't help but think to himself, "I didn't expect this demonic flag to be of such great help to me. It's indeed a rare treasure. It has the power to reverse time and space, which can make up for my lack of time." In the infernal purgatory, he had washed the memory of the demonic flag's artifact spirit with the water of oblivion, turning it completely into a blank paper state like a newborn baby. Thus, he could easily control this demonic treasure. At the same time, he also learned about the various functions of the star's immortal slaying flag. Its combat power was extremely strong. Even if it wasn't used as a magic treasure, it was also very strong as a demonic weapon. Waving the demonic flag had the power to overturn rivers and seas, reverse the void, and destroy stars. It could also absorb the enemy into the flag and kill them with the heavenly cycle star formation. Everything else could be put aside for the time being. Only the demonic flag could reverse the starry sky and the power of time and space. Inside the demonic flag, one could adjust the time difference inside and outside. However, reversing time and space required a huge amount of energy. The power of the stars in the starry sky in front of him could at most support him to reverse the starry sky for 3,000 years. Once it was exhausted, this starry sky would stop operating, and the demonic flag would lose its effect at the same time and be temporarily scrapped. Only when it absorbed enough power of the stars could it recover its various magical powers. After knowing this effect, Di Shitian didn't hesitate to use his blood essence to activate the demonic flag. He immediately used the ability to reverse the starry sky. He adjusted the time to 1 day in the land of exile, 1 year in the demonic flag. 1 month was 300 years, and 3 months was 900 years. Before going to the 3-month agreement with the Ghost Emperor of Fengju, he had to concentrate on cultivating. Jade boxes appeared beside him. Di Shitian took out the wine god gourd and the wine god's treasure mirror. He opened the mirror, and there were 16 pictures of spirit wines inside. He dripped the wine liquid of the Dragon Blood Immortal Ascension wine on the mirror. Immediately, the 17th picture of the mirror appeared. Rejuvenation Immortal Brew. Main ingredients: rejuvenation fruit, 1000-year snow ginseng, wine fruit, jadeite fruit, 1000-year cinnabar fruit, 10,000-year stalactite milk. It's not difficult to brew. When Sakura saw the recipe for the return of spring immortal brew, he secretly recalled that he had all the required ingredients. He no longer hesitated and began to follow the steps to start brewing this new spirit wine with the wine god's gourd. The Rejuvenation Immortal Brew wasn't a low-grade spirit wine. It was a high-grade earth-class spirit wine, and had the miraculous effect of healing injuries and recovering magic power. Below the ancient tycoons, which was the level of ancient demon saints, even if the true power in their body was depleted, as long as they drank 1 or 2 mouthfuls, the true power in their body would recover in the blink of an eye. However, for those above the level of the demon sages, it wasn't as effective. According to the recipe, he quickly took out all the ingredients and placed them into the gourd, allowing the gourd to brew the spirit wine on its own. In the meantime, Sakura was not idle. He activated the Book of Shocking the World. Suddenly, he saw that in the sky above Sky Pillar City, the vast Xiantian Qi in the Banished Land was pouring into the City Lord's mansion at a speed visible to the naked eye. All kinds of Yuan Qi formed a strange multicolored tornado that connected the heavens and the earth. It directly connected to the City Lord's mansion. The vast essence Qi, under the refinement of the demon refining cauldron, poured into the 10th rank Black Lotus. It turned into a purple-gold imperial realm true energy. Outside his body, the indestructible body was activated. The indestructible divine ring appeared. He began to refine his body again. Starting from his feet, he crushed his body like a giant grindstone, receiving the sorrow inextinguishable will and true dragon purple chi that fell from the void. Looking at the purple-gold divine light emitted by the indestructible divine ring, it was already extremely dense. This was the sign that the indestructible body was about to reach the peak of the first layer. Once the indestructible Holy Spirit was condensed in the divine ring, the first layer would truly reach the peak. In the future, with every indestructible Holy Spirit in the Tao Sorrow halo, the divine ring would become stronger. He could also start to cultivate the second layer and condense the second indestructible divine ring. While using the Book of Shocking the Imperial Realm and the Indestructible Body, Di Shitian used the Imperial Tyrant Heart Sutra to suppress his soul. He entered his mind and started to comprehend the star-plucking demon technique that he forced out from old demon Zhai Xing. He wanted to integrate it into his own cultivation technique. Get rid of the impurities and extract the essence. He wanted to integrate all the cultivation techniques in his body and perfect the Book of Shocking the Imperial Realm. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 758. What are Old Demon Zhai Xing? His background is not small at all. It turned out to be an inner court elder of the Star Demon Palace on the Demon God continent. TSK, what a guy. He actually broke the law of lust and was extremely bold. He tried to take advantage of the elven princess of the Star Elven clan on the Demon God continent who was only a demon emperor back then. He was caught on the spot and sent to the land of exile. This old demon is truly a pervert. Di Shitian browsed through the information that Dark had obtained from old demon Zhai Xing. He could not help but feel admiration for this old demon. This guy was truly a pervert. He was extremely talented. After entering the Star Demon Palace, he obtained one of the true teachings of the Demon Palace, the star-plucking demonic technique. This old demon was rather interesting. After obtaining the demonic technique, he quietly cultivated for a few thousand years and raised his cultivation to the level of Sky Demon. Once he reached this level and was promoted to an elder of the Demon Palace, his nature immediately erupted. Using the strangeness of the star-plucking demonic technique, he secretly stole the concubines of many experts. Among them, there was no lack of concubines of experts at the level of Sky Demon. He also obtained a demonic technique by accident. It was called the Yin-Yang Demonic Cauldron Grand Technique. This demonic technique was simply one of the most tyrannical and cruel demonic techniques among the Yin-Yang Demonic Technique. The Yin-Yang Demonic Technique would completely absorb the essence of the woman who was sucked dry by the demonic technique. Her entire body would turn into a pile of bones. The tyrannical nature of the demonic technique was displayed. The rarest thing was that although this demonic technique only harmed others, it was also beneficial to the user. After refining the essence absorbed by the demonic technique, it would not cause any damage to the user's demonic foundation. Legend had it that this demonic technique was created by an unparalleled demon god of the Demon God continent, Demon Emperor Wu Qiu. Of course, if the demonic technique was slightly careful during the process of plucking, it would not completely harm the woman. In that case, the demonic technique would naturally gain less benefits. Moreover, old demon Zhai Xing was a cruel person after all. The concubines that he plundered could not be exposed to the public. He would usually ravage them and turn them into a pile of bones after plucking. He would destroy the corpses and the traces. He actually allowed him to roam free and unfettered in the Devil Palace for thousands of years. He didn't expect that after getting drunk, he would be so daring as to offend the elven princess. He wanted to rape her, but in the end, he kicked an iron plate and was punished on the spot. He was banished to the land of exile. Fortunately, What he had done before was not completely exposed. Otherwise, it wouldn't be just a small banishment. He would really be completely ground to dust. What a guy! In a short 3,000 years, he's already harmed tens of millions of witches. Fuck. She was indeed a pervert. He has also practiced the one pillar supporting the heavens. Di Shitian was speechless. He didn't expect that although he didn't show anything on the surface, underneath, this guy was really a pervert. In his hands, the star-plucking demon art was simply a demonic art that stole from others. While he was speechless, he also began to thoroughly investigate the demonic arts that this old woman knew. She really couldn't be underestimated. The star-plucking demon art, yin-yang magic cauldron technique, one pillar supporting the heavens, stellar magic eyes, demonic soul separation technique, 8 methods of waving the flag, great shift of the stars, Jew sky demons divine chronicle, 9 yin witch demonic art, and bewitching demon art. Di Shitian took a glance at these demonic arts and sighed inwardly. The demon god continent was indeed a group of ruthless people. Almost all of their demonic arts were demonic arts that harmed others for their own benefit. Among them, the Jew Sky Demons Divine Chronicle was a book that specifically introduced the Jew Sky Demon God of the demon god continent, the various major forces, various spiritual items of heaven and earth, and innate spiritual materials. The star-plucking demon art is the top demonic art of the demon god continent. The 8 methods of waving the flag is actually a set of unique combat techniques that use flags as divine weapons. Techniques like the Great Shift of the Stars should be of considerable use to Di Shitian also began to carefully observe and deduce these demonic arts after he was secretly amazed. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Demonic arts were indeed unique. There was no need to talk about the movement techniques in the star-plucking demon art. There was a star-plucking demon hand that was extremely domineering and strange. There were a total of 5 moves: empty the bag, plucking the stars and fetching the moon, searching the earth, shifting the stars, and stealing the sky and sun. Every move contained an extremely strange and terrifying power. When executed to the extreme, the demonic power was vast and mighty. It could be used to stealing the sky and sun. Although this star-plucking demon art is powerful, if I were to cultivate it specifically, it would definitely conflict with my book of The Emperor Shocks the World. Since that is the case, I might as well directly extract the essence of this demonic art and combine it with the many grappling and handprint combat techniques that I know. Together with the book of The Emperor Shocks the World, I can deduce a unique skill and perfect this cultivation technique. With the book of The Emperor Shocks the World, Di Shitian had never thought of switching to other cultivation techniques. In this world, there was no other unique skill that was more suitable for him than this one. In terms of fundamental cultivation techniques and combat techniques, he had always used his great wisdom and time to deduce them based on his own understanding. He would perfect them bit by bit. He would do as he said. This had always been his character. Without hesitation, he activated the book of The Emperor Shocks the World in his body. He activated the indestructible body of the Emperor in his flesh and blood. The heart mantra of the Emperor reverberated in his mind to comprehend the Emperor's state of mind. In his mind, lines of words and combat techniques appeared one after another, reverberating in his mind. He absorbed the essence of each cultivation technique and deduced it silently. In his mind, a figure that was exactly the same as the sacra suddenly appeared. These figures were all formed from various cultivation techniques. After they appeared, they began to perform different unique skills. The mystical heaven-shattering jade palm, the earth-shattering meridian-severing hand, the 1,000 spiders 10,000 poisons hand, the life force good fortune palm, the great palm of the yellow springs, the 9 dragons hegemonic heaven feet, and the only 8 desolations fist. They intertwined and corroborated each other. Many of the figures were destroyed at the same time and gathered together to form new figures. They absorbed the essence of each and displayed new palm techniques and hand seals. In an instant, Di Shitian's consciousness seemed to be divided into thousands of different parts, comprehending the essence of each of the unique skills. If it weren't for the heart mantra of the Emperor Shocks suppressing his mind, this kind of method of dividing consciousness might cause him to go crazy. Boom. Boom. Vast amounts of Xiantian Yuan Qi continuously poured into his body. Countless undying obsessions descended from the void and merged with the indestructible divine ring derived from the indestructible body. A vast amount of true dragon violet Qi also gathered. A month later, only to see Indra directly resembling an ancient emperor, standing tall in the vast starry space. His 30,000-meter demonic body was manifested, and the inextinguishable divine ring was like a gigantic grindstone that crushed his demonic body, causing him to be reborn amidst the destruction. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Just as the undying obsessions in the void fell into the indestructible divine ring, the entire divine ring instantly burst forth with unprecedentedly bright divine light. Rings of light continuously spread out in all directions. An undying grief that pierced through heaven and earth swept out in all directions. For a moment, heaven and earth mourned. In this boundless void, every star and every strand of star power was eerily emitting a terrifying sense of grief at the same time. The intensity of the sense of grief was so strong that in such an atmosphere, it was enough to make an expert want to commit suicide on the spot. One could clearly see the sorrowful music reverberating in the indestructible divine ring. Countless undying obsessions and true dragon violet Qi instantly gathered together and burst forth with brilliant divine light. In an instant, the indestructible divine ring was so condensed that it was almost tangible. Like a purple-gold divine ring, it emitted a glass-like luster. Countless mysterious Tao patterns appeared on the surface of the divine ring. Every strand of Tao pattern exuded a sorrowful charm. Inside the divine ring, one could only see an undying Holy Spirit forming. The strange thing was that the undying Holy Spirit actually looked exactly like Di Shitian. In the divine ring, the undying Holy Spirit that looked exactly like Di Shitian was like an ancient emperor. He wore a black imperial robe, stepped on 2 purple-gold divine dragons, and had a true dragon coiled around each of his arms. However, there was a sorrowful expression on his face that could not be washed away by the 4 seas and 3 rivers. He was inexplicably sorrowful, and his entire body was desolate. There were living beings in the world. When a few gathered, they would become many. When many gathered, they would form a country, and the emperor would be the head of the country. The size of a country was determined by its tolerance. It could accommodate thousands of living beings. When the living beings grieved, it was the country's death. When the country's death was the emperor's death. When the emperor died, heaven and earth mourned. An endless stream of sorrowful thoughts exuded from the undying Holy Spirit. When the undying Holy Spirit formed, the undying divine ring also underwent a complete transformation. It turned from illusory to real. The entire divine ring was as beautiful as glass, and its power increased by at least 10 times in an instant. Extreme Emperor Immortal Body, First Tier Greater Mastery, bang! The undying divine ring spun at an unimaginable speed. It was different from its previous slow speed. As it spun, it was extremely fast. In an instant, the entire body of the undying Holy Spirit collapsed. Flesh and bones fused together. Drops of purple gold blood essence were formed. Each drop of blood essence was surrounded by a purple gold divine ring. Extreme Emperor Immortal Body, the desires of heaven and earth listen to my decree, 7 emotions and 6 desires, undying thoughts. The undying thoughts of anger, listen to my decree and merge into my body to prove immortality. True Dragon Purple Qi, return to my body. Extreme Emperor Immortal Body, a decree that was filled with the majesty of heaven and earth came from nowhere. As the decree fell, the undying thoughts of the undying Holy Spirit descended at a speed visible to the naked eye. Each strand of the undying Holy Spirit exuded a terrifying fury that seemed to be able to incinerate heaven and earth. The vast true dragon purple Qi descended. It quickly merged into each drop of blood essence. A yuan worth of essence blood condensed into a strange formation and started to circulate rapidly. Gather. All of the blood essence converged toward the center at the same time with a loud shout. Vast heaven and earth yuan Qi poured in like a tide. Boom, boom, boom. The 30,000-foot-tall undying Holy Spirit body gathered again in a burst of purple gold divine light. At the same time, it expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. The undying Holy Spirit body grew to 40,000 feet in an instant. Moreover, the flesh and blood that grew was also incomparably condensed. On the skin of the undying Holy Spirit body, traces of light appeared. The first tier greater mastery brought about an earth-shattering change to the undying Holy Spirit body. The strength of the undying Holy Spirit body was comparable to that of an ancient undying Holy Spirit body. Activating the extreme Emperor immortal body, 2 undying divine rings were formed around him. One of them was so condensed that it was almost solid. Its luster was like glass, and it emitted endless sorrowful sounds of the great Tao. On the other hand, the purple-gold divine light on the surface of the other undying Holy Spirit body seemed a little dim. However, within the undying Holy Spirit body, an endless rage swept through the starry sky like a tide. The extreme Emperor immortal body, the second undying divine ring, the halo of rage. The breakthrough of the undying Holy Spirit body did not awaken Di Shitian from his cultivation. He was still immersed in his cultivation. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 759. This time, Di Shitian planned to cultivate in seclusion for 900 years in the star immortal vanquishing banner. Even if there was thunder outside, it wouldn't disturb him. In these 3 months, he wanted to completely transform all his previous accumulations into battle power that he could truly control. He had used the divine eye of heavenly punishment to steal the sun and pry into many cultivation techniques, as well as the great Tao heavenly melody left behind by Ziyu that was currently reverberating in the starry sky from the imperial jade disk. The seal scripts of the great Tao kept entering his mind. These cultivation techniques weren't suitable for him, so he would create another cultivation technique. With the 900 years obtained from reversing time and space, coupled with the great Tao heavenly melody from the imperial jade disk, he was infinitely close to the great Tao. Under such circumstances, it was only natural that he wanted to deduce the branch battle techniques of the imperial book of Shocking the World. He wanted to stand on the shoulders of his predecessors and create a cultivation technique that belonged to him alone. In his mind, illusory figures were constantly practicing their battle techniques. The demon palace in his body was operating at full power, and the vast carnate essence chi in the land of exile surged into the demon palace like a tidal wave. It was constantly refined by the demon refining cauldron and then poured into the 10th rank Black Lotus, transforming into wisps of pure imperial true power. Inside the vast Black Lotus, the extreme king's true power, which had only taken up 1/10 of the area, was growing rapidly. This growth was almost visible to the naked eye. The Black Lotus was spinning, and the extreme king's true power was like a rolling dragon. It went into the demon pulse, following the extreme king's shocking book. The purple gold true power was like a river flowing through the demon pulse, nourishing the demon pulse and nourishing the flesh. He began to break through the 10th demon vein. He poured the divine light in the demon vein into the divine eye. His flesh was like a hungry Tao Tai, constantly absorbing the heaven and earth essence chi to strengthen himself. In addition, the 2 indestructible divine rings were operating outside his body, crushing his body. The speed of tempering his body was much faster than before. His strength was rapidly increasing step by step. 3 months. In these 3 months, he had to increase his strength as much as possible. 900 years of Xiantian Yuan Qi for his cultivation. Although he couldn't break through to become an ancient heavenly demon, he had to do his best to reach the pinnacle of ancient heavenly demon sage. At this moment, in the myriad worlds, a piece of news suddenly began to circulate. I heard that the reason why the myriad demon city suddenly sealed itself and escaped into the endless void was because the Black Fiend Patriarch of the Black Fiend Great World, He Shenfeng, had issued a demon-slaying order, requesting the Northern Underworld Manor Lord, Carefree King, who resided in the Northern Underworld Sea region, to personally kill the Demon Emperor. For this reason, it even caused the hidden ancient demon god of the demon race to wreak havoc in the heaven realm. From the looks of it, The demon emperor had really fallen. Otherwise, how could the demon city be so coincidental and suddenly be sealed at that time? There's an 80 to 90% chance that this is true. That powerful demon emperor has fallen. Now, one of the demon clan's giants has been beheaded. They won't be able to cause any trouble. Even the demon city has become ownerless. If he could snatch it, it would be like snatching a supreme treasure that could help him become a peerless powerhouse. This was built according to Tianjiz's design of the unparalleled God City. If its potential is nurtured, it would be another divine artifact that would not be inferior to the 10 supreme divine artifacts of the 10 great immortal sects. I heard that there are already many powerhouses in the universe who are secretly eyeing the demon city. They are secretly plotting to take the demon city for themselves. The demon city can be said to be a supreme treasure comparable to a natural spirit treasure. Who knows how many pairs of eyes are eyeing it? It's just that they were intimidated by the demon emperor's power and deterred the universe. Now that the demon emperor has died, all the suppressed thoughts have gushed out. There will be an unprecedented war between heaven and earth. The 100 races have yet to return, but the atmosphere has already begun to change. The demon city has disappeared into the void and there are no traces of it. Many powerhouses have already rushed to the endless void, swearing to find the ancient city. It's rumored that a large number of forces have secretly formed a demon-slaying alliance to join forces to divide the fat meat of the demon city. It was very difficult to have any hidden existence in the universe. The demon city had always been the focus of attention in the universe. The sudden sealing of the city immediately tugged at countless sensitive heartstrings. It immediately caused a strange atmosphere to emerge between heaven and earth. It was like the calm before the storm. All kinds of information were constantly being spread. In the universe, there was a great thousand world called the Azure Wood Great World. It was said that this world was created by an unparalleled powerhouse of the primordial era, Emperor Qing. During the primordial era, it was prosperous for a period of time. However, due to the mysterious disappearance of Emperor Qing, it was unknown whether he had died or not. In the end, it caused the Azure Wood Great World to decline. However, the unique scenery of the Azure Wood Great World caused many cultivators to feel close to it. Many loose cultivators eventually settled down in the Azure Wood Great World. With the development of time, the countless loose cultivators from the primordial era gathered together and the entire Azure Wood Great World became a world where loose cultivators were the main force. Furthermore, it was exceptionally prosperous in terms of business. Shifting one's gaze to the Azure Wood Great World. In a glance, there was a boundless expanse of enormous Azure Wood Great World towering into the sky. The branches and leaves of these Azure Wood Great World were abnormally lush. They intertwined and connected with each other, causing the tops of the trees to form continuous regions. The dense branches and leaves were incomparably tough. Standing on them was like walking on flat ground. Like the earth. Vast and boundless. This caused the Azure Wood Great World to become a world built on top of Azure Wood Great trees. Houses and caves were built on top of the trees. Everything carried a different kind of aura. Looking over, one could not help but feel curious. Looking at the Azure Wood Great World, there were numerous towering tree cities. In the sky, rays of treasured light were constantly streaking back and forth. There were so many loose cultivators here that they were uncountable. There was simply an endless stream of them. It could be said to be the main camp of loose cultivators. It was bustling with noise and excitement. At this moment, in a hidden location of the Azure Wood Great World, there was an immortal island floating and drifting about. Looking at the immortal island, it was filled with green trees and vegetation. The entire island was emitting a dense and vigorous life force. Within the life force, there was also an aura of withering and death. The immortal island was not too big. It was only 3,000 feet in size. It used an acquired wood spirit pearl as the source of energy to construct the myriad poisons and myriad spirits pond. It absorbed the poisonous gases and wood essence energy of the world to support the operation of the immortal island. On the immortal island, there was a palace constructed from various ancient trees. The palace naturally emitted a kind of dignified aura. The master of this immortal island was called Jushen Wanderer. He was the third elder of the Loose Cultivator Alliance. He was a late-stage immortal overlord. He had been famous for several tens of thousands of years. He was not far from the peak. He had always had a virtuous reputation among loose cultivators. He had friends all over the world. He could be said to be a figure. In the Azure Wood Great World, his influence was considerable. This immortal island was called Jushen Island. In the palace, a middle-aged man in a cyan robe who appeared to be in his 30s or 40s could be seen. His body emitted a scholarly aura as if he was a Confucian scholar. He sat upright on the main seat in the hall. There was a kind of gentle smile on his face, causing others to naturally feel close to him. He was the host of this place, Jushen Wanderer. Jushen Wanderer said in a clear voice, "Fellow Taoists, this time, all of you have come for the matter of forming the Monster Suppression Alliance. Although this matter is led by me, Jushen Wanderer, everyone knows that this is an order personally issued by the Black Demon Old Ancestor. I have received the Old Ancestor's favor in the past. This time, since the Old Ancestor has personally spoken, I have no reason to decline." A sly look flashed in the corner of his eyes as he said, "There is no need to say anything else. This time, we have all come because of the Black Demon Old Ancestor. A few days ago, the Thousand Demon City was suddenly sealed off, and the news in the city was completely blocked. The Old Ancestor has sent news that the Demon Emperor has already fallen in the hands of the Northern Nether Mansion's Mansion Lord, Unfettered King. There is no need to fear. The Old Ancestor has promised that once the Thousand Demon City is conquered, the Demon Clan will be at your disposal. The various precious treasures in the city can be plundered to your heart's content." Jushen Wanderer threw out all kinds of promises and large amounts of rewards. H. The Thousand Demon City has been too arrogant and despotic during this period of time. They actually killed the entire Thousand Moons sect, slaughtered an entire sect, and destroyed the entire Thousand Moons realm. If we don't stop them, I'm afraid that all the realms will be slaughtered one by one. That Demon Emperor even dared to kill the Old Ancestor's son. He is really too arrogant. This time, the Lee Fire Sword sect will not retreat from the Demon Suppression Alliance. A red-faced middle-aged cultivator wearing a fire cloud robe and a fire cloud crown on his head immediately shouted in a fiery voice. This cultivator was the great elder of the Lee Fire Sword sect, the Fire Cloud Sword Venerable. His sword principle cultivation had reached the middle stage of the Eternal Giant. In his eyes, there was a greedy expression that did not leave a trace. Back then, Di Shitian had plundered countless treasures in the Million Treasure Red Tide. This was not a secret. If they could conquer the Thousand Demon City, they might not have a share of the ancient city. However, if they could plunder a portion of those treasures, it would be enough to increase the foundation of their sect instantly. That's right. The Demon Clan should not have existed in this world a long time ago. Our Thousand Talisman sect may have to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Let's kill this group of demons who do not know what is good for them. An old man wearing a khaki-colored Taoist robe said with his eyes shining. This old man was the great elder of the Thousand Talisman sect, Fu Shan. He was also a middle stage of the Eternal Giant. He just killed the Patriarch's son. With the current situation of the Demon Clan, it is simply an act of insubordination. He deserves to be killed. An old woman from the Lianyun sect smashed the staff in her hand on the ground with a face full of resentment, showing her anger. In an instant, the dozens of sects gathered in the hall all expressed their views. Demon King Di Shitian had most likely fallen. Regarding this, the scruples in their hearts instantly dissipated, and they revealed the nature of wild wolves. Although everyone here said that they were avenging Black Pupil and the Patriarch, in fact, which one of them did not have their eyes on the countless treasures gathered in the Thousand Demon City? That wealth was something that would tempt even the most powerful experts. However, now that the Thousand Demon City is sealed, the spies in the city are unable to send news out. Now that we have escaped into the endless void, it will not be easy to find the Thousand Demon City. The second elder of the Dark Yin sect, Old Demon Shen Yin, asked a question. The Thousand Demon City was not in the 5 elements, and it was filled with wish power that covered the ancient city. Ordinary divination abilities might not be able to calculate the trajectory of the ancient city. Why don't you leave this matter to my Heaven's Secret sect? Right at this moment, a group of people entered the palace uninvited. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chidyen.com. I support the author. I support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.